and try to get Kevin Durant. And try to get Giannis the same way that they got James Harden. That would be an option. So this year's draft class, with the kid Cooper Flagg at Duke, who my boy Brian Scalabrine started working out when the kid was a ninth grader up in Maine. So Brian has known him for a long time. And then even the kid at Rutgers, Ace Bailey, who we're going to get to see a lot, obviously, he's going to be playing right in our backyard. The guys in this draft are really good. So I think the Nets are in good position. But to your point, it's a tough one because I think when everyone always talks about building a culture, the way you build a culture is you play every game to win and you have guys compete. And Jordy Fernandez has been a no-nonsense guy. I love, he's brutally honest, which I think is kind of probably a European thing as well. I mean, he has to do the question. He's going to give you an honest answer. He doesn't really sugarcoat it. I've been really impressed with the job that he has done thus far. There's a seriousness about him. There's certainly a seriousness about the team. And their games have been entertaining. Like when you go in it, you think, man, this could be a long year. Who knows? Maybe it'll turn out to be that. But after 8 games, more importantly than competing and winning for the games, they've been really entertaining, which is important.
You just said they play hard every night, and I think that's such an asset in the NBA because let's face it, Frank, not every team plays that way every night, especially elite teams who kind of look at the regular season and yawn, and you see, Denver off to a bit of a slow start. Milwaukee's kind of a mess. Everybody was high on Orlando. They're 3-6 to start the season. So as a guy that loves the game and watches it, Frank, like you do, how do you sift through, what is real and what's not so early in the season?
Yeah, that's a fair point. There's an assistant coach with the Golden State Warriors, Ron Adams. He's been there for a long time. He and Tom Thibodeau worked in a bunch of places together, including San Antonio way back when, and even in Philadelphia and Chicago. And I remember saying to him one time, man, you guys play hard. That's 50% of the battle. He said, no. It's actually 90% of the battle, getting the team to play hard. And, last night, Scalabrine did the Warriors-Celtics game, and he thought it was one of the best regular season games he'd ever seen. I don't know how much of that is hyperbole, but the one thing he said about the Warriors is how hard they play. And, this is, you think about Steph Curry, Draymond Green, how much winning they've done, and they're playing like that in November. So I think if you have guys healthy, like the Nets still have to get healthy. Day'Ron Sharpe, who's important because he's a big man, and Ben Simmons, when he plays, has done relatively well because Ben Simmons is in the final year of his contract. So if Ben Simmons wants to play beyond this year and make pretty decent money, he's going to have to perform. So the Nets are in a pretty good situation because I think Jordy Fernandez has their attention, and the way that he's dealing with it is no one's guaranteed anything. You play well, you're going to be out there. You don't compete, you don't play hard, you're not going to play. So what the Nets are doing right now is sustainable. Plus, they have a guy in Cam Thomas. He hasn't played well the last 2 games. He's forced a bunch of shots because teams are kind of gearing up to defend against him. The guy can make shots, man. He is like a tough shot maker. He can make shots with a hand in someone's face. He can create off the dribble. He's a really, really talented player.
Now, we started the show talking about the Knicks. They're 3-4, Frank. I don't think there's any reason to panic at all. Some Knicks fans are a little panicked, and I think they're integrating 2 different starters into the starting 5, significant players at that. You know Thibodeau very well. Are you concerned at all about the start?
No, and I think, when you think about the guys that they don't have, Mitchell Robinson, who knows when he'll be back, what are they saying, January? Precious Achiuwa, also campaign, so your bench is a lot thinner. And I think you're right. With Karl-Anthony Towns and Mikal Bridges, I think they're all still learning to play together. For me, some troubling signs, though, were on opening night against Boston. And, if you look at the way the Knicks played last year, they were like, all right, who wants to take us on? We're ready to fight anybody. And the way that they competed in the playoffs on opening night, and I get it. You can say, oh, it's a big deal. It's opening night. Well, the Knicks felt like they should have been in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. And they felt like they could have given the Boston Celtics a run for their money. So not only were they blown out, but there was a play early in the first half where Jaylen Brown stole the ball. And I don't know, Mikal Bridges kind of broke into a home run trot when he was running back to kind of defend it. I thought that was a little strange. And even at the end of the game, when the Celtics were trying to break that record for 3-point shots, and the Celtic bench is up, and they're all basically mocking the Knicks and treating the Knicks like they're part of a circus act. I don't know. I'm not saying you got to fight anybody, but did somebody on the Knicks maybe foul somebody hard? Like they're trying to embarrass you guys. I thought that opening night game for me, their identity last year, especially with Isaiah Hartenstein and Dante DiVincenzo, those were physically and mentally tough players. And I think Karl Towns is obviously incredibly talented. He could be the greatest outside shooting big man in the history of the sport. And Mikal Bridges is talented, but, they have to prove something in terms of their toughness. Mikal Bridges did not play great last year for the Brooklyn Nets. He really didn't. They wanted him to take on more of a leadership role, but I get it. That has to be part of your DNA. Maybe it isn't for him, but he certainly didn't take the Bulls by the horn. And I think the Knicks, they gave up a lot to get him. I think that they feel like him playing with Jalen Brunson will work out. And it's still early. I think they'll figure it out. But it's going to be big for those two guys because the two guys that they technically replaced in a lot of ways, DiVincenzo and Isaiah Hartenstein, even Julius Randle. You say what you want about Julius Randle. Julius Randle was a tough player too. He had a bit of an edge to him, so they're going to have to prove that and get back to that kind of identity.
It does feel like teams are playing the Knicks with a bit of a chip on their shoulder. You heard Young's comments after the game when he was being interviewed. Even though the Knicks didn't win anything, Frank, they made one of the biggest moves during the offseason. It is New York. Do you think teams are have a look at the Knicks with a target on their back a little bit more than you would for a team that was bounced in the second round?
Yeah, I do think that, you're always, if you're the Knicks, there's always going to be a target. And, I covered the beat forever, and there are certain cities you go to, and Atlanta's certainly one of them. There's a million Knicks fans there, so it's always going to rub those players the wrong way. But I always said this about the Knicks. They have one of the worst home court advantages. Not that their fans aren't great. It's just that everyone gets up to play in Madison Square Garden. So, yes, they're in New York City, but I think the players are always thinking, all right, this is going to be a stage for me. We're going to play well. We're not going to get embarrassed. So I think that's always in play for the Knicks, even when they're not a good team. But I would say this, too. If you think about the Boston Celtics with Tatum and Brown, right? Jaylen Brown had an unbelievable year. They won 64 regular season games. They won 16 playoff games. So they won 80 games last year, including lifting the trophy up. Jaylen Brown, it doesn't get invited to play for the national team. And then Jason Tatum is on the national team, and he got benched for 2 games, which, all right, Steve Kerr, his job is to win, so I'm not going to go too crazy about that. But it kind of was like a weird summer for those two guys. It didn't feel like they were the toast of the town. Meanwhile, the Knicks made it to the second round. It kind of felt like they were the toast of the NBA. They're throwing the first pitch here. They're doing this, making appearances. There was like a little too much. What was the line that Johnny Sack used on The Sopranos? It's a little too much self-aggrandizing. I felt like so. It did feel a little bit like that, like they were coming off a championship high. Boys, you guys did great, and I think if guys weren't injured, I think they would have played Boston in the conference finals. I get all that, but you still haven't done that much yet. It's still about trying to get to a conference finals, which is something the Knicks haven't done in 20 years. Actually, what am I talking about? 24 years. It was 2020, the last time. 2000. Excuse me, the last time they made a conference final. So there's a lot still to prove for this team.
Now, you mentioned Bridges last year didn't live up to what the Nets wanted him to, and I liked the deal when it was made. So I guess I'm going to be a little bit of a phony because I sit back now. After they got Karl Anthony Towns, you could make the argument, Frank, that at best he's the third best player in the starting lineup. He might even be below Anunoby. So it might be the fourth best player, maybe. Was he worth 5 first-round draft picks?
It's a tough call. I would say this from the Knicks standpoint. I give Leon Rose and the front office, Tom Thibodeau, a lot of credit for this. There does come a point where you just can't brag about how many assets you have.
Right.
And Oklahoma City did that for a long time. And, yes, all right, now they have a contending team. But I give the Knicks credit for saying, you know what, it's been we haven't been to an NBA Finals since 1999. We haven't won a championship since 73. I mean, we have these assets now. We don't think Giannis is going to become available. They're looking at other players around the league thinking, all right, maybe we're not going to be able to hit a home run with some of these guys. Let's just do this. Mikal Bridges was on a Phoenix Suns team that made the finals, and he was more comfortable being kind of like that third or even fourth option there. If you include DeAndre Ayton, Chris Paul, and Devin Booker, you could say that Bridges was the fourth best starter, and he did really well for them. So I understand. I think they did give up a lot, but I think there does come a point where instead of the GM just bragging about all these assets he has, you got to go do something. I mean, come on. I mean, Mike, you're with the Yankees all the time. They haven't won since 2009, and people make it seem like they haven't won since 1900.
Right.
You have to make moves. You have to make some bold moves sometimes, and I give the Knicks credit for doing that.
Now, obviously, it's folly to even second guess the Knicks front office. They've been great, but I guess I'm looking at this with the news that's come out that maybe there's a chance that Antetokounmpo could actually shake loose and say he wants out of Milwaukee. Did you waste those 5 picks that could have gotten him to get Bridges? Would it have been better to hold on to them? That's what I'm thinking.
No, and I think you're 100% right about that. And I think teams like San Antonio, Oklahoma City, the Brooklyn Nets would have a chance on something like that. I just think the Giannis thing, like let's say you're taking the Nets picks if you're Milwaukee. Why would you make the trade now when you want the Nets to maybe finish with a really poor record and then they're finishing higher in the lottery? And I like Giannis a lot, and I've dealt with him. Brian and I went and interviewed him and Damian Lillard. I think it was in Milwaukee the Sunday before the season started. And he was really optimistic about the year. But, he also has to take a bit of a hit because he's the one that had kind of had it with Mike Budenholzer. He's the one, not that he wanted Drew Holiday traded, but he wanted them to bring in Damian Lillard, and the only way to do that was to trade Drew Holiday. If you're around Drew Holiday, you want him on your team. Drew Holiday is everything. The guy could score. He's a leader. He's built like a linebacker. He's already won 2 championships. He won one in Milwaukee. He's won one in Boston. The guy's terrific. So Giannis is not a great GM. He's a great player. He's going to give you 100%. But when you look at the Bucks, they're paying that luxury tax yet again. Right now, they're 1-6, and Chris Middleton got a big contract, and he's hurt. Damian Lillard has a massive contract, and he just hasn't been that effective. And he's kind of getting up there in age as well. So if I think Milwaukee will go through the season, but I do think this summer, if things don't work out, I think they would look to make a move, and I think the Nets would be in play. I think San Antonio, which has picks, would be in play, and Oklahoma City, which has a ton of picks. Think about this, guys. Oklahoma City has the picks from the Clippers that they got in the Paul George trade, and Paul George now plays for the Sixers. Yeah. How bad of a move was that for the Clippers?
All right, so let me give you a goofy scenario, and I mean you might laugh at this. So Antetokounmpo goes to Milwaukee, manager. I want to go to the Knicks. If you were the Knicks, would you trade Karl Anthony Towns for Antetokounmpo?
It'd be an interesting one because Giannis likes the ball in his hands, so that's Brunson.
Right.
And Giannis isn't the shooter that Karl Anthony Towns is, but Giannis is still a top 5 player in the league. The biggest issue right now I have with Giannis, and he plays hard all the time, and he even said, I'm not doing load management. If I'm available to play, I'm going to play. He has not appeared in a playoff win the last 2 years for the Milwaukee Bucks. Last year he didn't play at all. And the year before, the games that he played in against Miami, they ended up losing. The one game, there were 2 games he didn't play, and one of them they won. It would be something I'd have to think hard and long about, but I think I would probably make that move because it is Giannis, and he could do a little bit more on the defensive end, obviously as well.
Back to Milwaukee, I kind of joke that Doc Rivers is like the Mike McCarthy of the NBA. You can't eviscerate him because he's got a Super Bowl, but really, how good a coach is he? Is that a fair comparison? How good is Doc Rivers? He's 500 since joining Milwaukee, all those 3-1 series losses, but he does have a championship in Boston, so how do you evaluate him?
Yeah, I know it's tough. And I think when the NBA did, was a top 10 or top 15 coaches of all time, he was one of them. Obviously there have been some circumstances. I think, when he lost in Philadelphia, some of that was Embiid and even, Ben Simmons not playing well against Atlanta. I think it was the following year when Embiid came up empty in the final 5 minutes of Game 6 against Boston. Then he did nothing in Game 7. But I think for Doc, I just wonder if his heart was in it. He's broadcasting with Mike Breen doing the games, and the idea that he was going to stay there at least for the whole season. The next thing you knew, he was back in Milwaukee. And actually, the record under Adrian Griffin is better than it's been under Doc. It's just been tough. Are Giannis and Damian Lillard the perfect fit? I don't know. And I like Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard's a great guy. He's a great player. But you guys know how this is. When you play out in Portland, you're kind of like, on the West Coast. Nobody's really paying attention. Everybody constantly just talks about how great you are. All right, he's a great player. But the one year he was in the conference finals, they played the Warriors. They had a double-digit lead in all 4 games, and they lost all 4 games. And Kevin Durant did not play in any of the games because he was hurt. So I'm not saying you got to beat the Warriors, but can you take one game off them? So, we know how this works, guys. There are certain players that no matter what they do, once they lose, they're not avoiding criticism. There are other guys that, for whatever reason, we kind of give a pass to. And I think in the case of Damian Lillard, it's always all the good stuff. It's never, is he a good enough defender? Is he coming up big in some of these big moments? And I think that's kind of the issue that the Milwaukee Bucks have.
Talking with Yes Network Nets analyst Frank Isola. Before we let you go, when you look at guys that get blamed and whatever, and guys that are sensitive, I scratch my head a lot. I know you're so into the NBA. Why Kevin Durant would pick a fight with Stephen A. Smith?
All right.
Why go there? I mean, what's the win for Kevin?
I always think, like, Kevin Durant needs to be like most of us. Like, we're married with kids. We have so many, like, issues in our own life. We don't really have time at our age to, like, always worry about, like, this outside stuff. And I think, like, Kevin Durant, for as great of, like, let's think about it. Kevin Durant is one of the greatest players in the history of the sport.
Yep.
Tom Brady is one of the greatest players. Patrick Mahomes is one of the greatest. Lionel Messi. Are they on Twitter doing that? Like just like picking fights with media people. And you and I, I mean, all of us know Steve really well. Steve started out in the newspaper business, Mike, like you and I did. Steve shows up at events.
Yeah.
Like the case that you're trying to, like you could say, I think Steve doesn't know what the heck he's talking about. Whatever, that's your opinion. The idea that Steve never shows up at games, when Steve shows up at a game, they show him on the catwalk. He's one of the players walking in. Steve goes to games. To me, it doesn't make any sense. Even the Embiid stuff that happened with, I have no problem with a player. I mean, you and I, when we were reporters, and even when you're broadcasting, players will come up and have debates or arguments or be mad at something you said or something you wrote. I don't have a problem with that. But, like, why is Embiid putting his hands on somebody? Come on, you can't be doing that.
See, I was talking about this yesterday, Frank, that I think that a lot of radio talk show hosts, they got the easiest life in the world. They sit here and take pot shots at people, and they never show up. I have respect for people that show up. I mean, Stephen A. does show up.
Well, it's like you. I mean, you and Don are out there.
Right.
Like people are going to see you. You know, you're at a ton of Yankee games. Obviously, Don is always around the Rangers, so I think you handle it differently, and I think you guys do it. Listen, I think people need critical. Like, your job is to provide analysis, and sometimes it has to be critical analysis. I think as long as you're not making it personal and you're doing something like talking about the way somebody looks and nonsense like that, it's all fair game. And I think that's kind of missing a little bit in today's media for a lot of the younger people, because let's face it, when we were doing it, this is like before Twitter, so you weren't really getting like the instant feedback from fans. So I think a lot of media people know that the players can go after them on Twitter and know that the fans can go after them on Twitter. So, like, if you criticize Taylor Swift, all of her fans are going to come after you. If you criticize, like, a popular player, all their fans are going to come after you. And I think sometimes the media guys don't really want to go down that road. They think it's not worth it. So I think that's why, I don't want to say softer, but the coverage has changed a lot.
Well, we thank you for coming on as always, buddy.
Thanks, man. It's always good.
Thanks, guys. Don, keep up the good work on the Rangers. I'll mostly be checking in March and April.
Well, see, he wants to show up at the party when it's fun.
No, but he's always been fair that way. He's a very well-rounded sports guy that understands how good the playoffs are, the NHL. But the regular season, hey, I got news for you, though, Frank. The NBA's regular season is no different.
Yeah, I have no comment on that, Don. I have no comment on that.
Yeah, but you're. Hey, listen, you're a big basketball guy, so you love it. I'm a big hockey guy. I love it, but to a lot of people, wake me when we get to the playoffs with these sports. I get it.
And one last thing, I watched the Columbus Blue Jackets the night of their first home game. I mean, you want to talk about devastating. That story bothered me for 2 weeks this summer. That was rough, and the way the hockey community came out, it was pretty emotional, but that is a rough story.
No, it's an awful story. Yeah. Awful story. Thank you, Frank. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care,
all right, guys. Stay well.
Exclusive story by the New York Post that Steve Cohen going out next week to California to meet with Boris and Soto. Steve Cohen doing it himself. Mm-hmm. So we'll break down that when we get back in just a moment. Hey, it's Michael K. My friend.
With Home Chef oven-ready options, home cooking is so simple, you go from step 1 to done with practically no effort at all. With our oven-ready tin, just cook and enjoy. Get 18 free meals plus free shipping today at homechef.com.
From all of us at Maurice's, we wish you the most wonderful season of all. Weekly style drops and amazing gifts in stores and at Maurice's.com.
I'm Anya's indecision. I thought we were good. Like with home projects, I used to make sure she got so twisted around, she wasn't even sure where to start. But Thumbtack changed her. With all the plans and guides and reminders, Anya's getting stuff done. And I'm getting ghosted.
Indecision doesn't live here. You do. Take care of your home with Thumbtack. Download the app today.
This line is insane.
Talk about boarding. Should I say that out loud?
I know it's in here somewhere. Ah, there you are.
Ugh, this sandwich is saving me from a meltdown.
Did I remember to pack my toothbrush?
Why does everyone have the same bag?
Oh my god. Is that Alan Ruck?
Finally.
Oh my god.
It's okay. It's okay.
Now arriving. Soft-side suitcases from away.
Whoa. Now that's a smooth shave. You might think these guys had to pay top dollar for a shave that smooth. But they just used Harry's. With 5 blades that stay sharp, shave after shave, a lubricating strip with aloe, a flex hinge, and a trimmer blade, it's hard to believe refills start at just $2, half of what the other guys charge. Shaving with Harry's isn't pricey. It's just very, very, very smooth. Wake up to Harry's. Get your trial set for just $7 at harrys.com/groom.
It all starts with fit. But fit isn't just something you see. It's something you feel. It's the energy you get from your favorite pants, from your lucky gonna crush this meeting blazer. The fit that feels so good it unlocks an unspoken swagger. A killer confidence that announces your presence when you enter a room. We aren't saying a pair of pants is going to change the world. Just that you're gonna look damn good while you're doing it.
Some days are just better than others.
I think you should go talk to someone.
It's not that easy.
Have you been thinking about suicide? You can talk to me, Dad.
Dupixent can help people with asthma breathe better in as little as 2 weeks. So this is better, even this. Dupixent is an add-on treatment for specific types of moderate to severe asthma that's not for sudden breathing problems. Dupixent can cause allergic reactions that can be severe. Tell your doctor right away if you have rash, chest pain, worsening shortness of breath, tingling, or numbness in your limbs. Tell your doctor about new or worsening joint aches and pain or a parasitic infection. Don't change or stop asthma medicines, including steroids, without talking to your doctor. Ask your specialist about Dupixent.
Hi, Eric.
Hi, Mel. Is now good for a quick catch-up on your plan?
Yes, now's great.
Has anything changed since we last spoke?
You know what? Yes, I'm thinking more long-term.
Great. We'll make that change to your plan and adjust as needed.
This helps a lot.
Bye, Mel.
Bye.
Make sense of your money with Citizens.
AE drink spray? AE drink Sprite.
You want to hoop like Anthony Edwards? Practice. You want a refreshing drink? Obey your thirst. And I tried to tell him, man.
Oh, I know. Sprite. Obey your thirst.
Team grows in Brooklyn. Board by board. Block by block. Play by play. Shot by shot.
We got Nets.
You coming?
This portion of the Michael K. Show brought to you by Security Dodge. So Mike Puma of the New York Post is reporting that Steve Cohen is going to fly out to the West Coast next week to meet with Boris and Soto personally. Now, I think this is all very curious and cute, where, teams have to, kind of dance the dance. It's going to come down to money. It's going to come down to money. So if Steve Cohen goes out and says, listen, what do you want? And I'll give it to you. And then it's done, whether he gives him the future of the Mets or not. I think it's all a song and dance that doesn't make much sense to me. It's going to come down to money. Doesn't make him a bad guy. And I know Scott's trying to spin it, winning is important. And as I said, one of the teams that checked in, surprisingly enough, and they do this a lot, Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
So if Tampa Bay finds $70 million a year or $60 million a year to give him for 12 years, he'll sign there, whether or not they're a constant contender or not. Now, if it came down to the Yankees, Dodgers, Tampa Bay offering the same amount of money, I think he'd go to the winning team. The winning team is going to be the team that offers him the most money.
But didn't Scott say he wants to go to a team that has a chance to win every year? How could Tampa guarantee that if they're going to put that much money into one guy?
But that's what Scott's saying, and I believe it's going to be the most money.
So what
doesn't make him a bad guy?
But he's going around and meeting these people. So what is Steve Cohen going to say to him other than I'm willing to give you X amount of dollars that's going to convince him to come to the Mets?
I mean, I think it becomes a dog and pony show where, they're going to ask him, well, what are your plans for the future? How much money will you spend? Will this inhibit? It's a carnival.
Yeah, that's what it sounds
wants
like.
it to turn into, I think he wants it to turn, and Alan said this earlier, wants it to turn into LeBron.
Well,
I wonder if there's going to be a decision
show. There might be a decision show. I don't know if it'll have the attention that LeBron got, but why not? But this is why I think it's all just, as you said, a dog and pony show. Because what it is that he doesn't want the perception to be that it's all about the money.
Right.
So if he goes there and meets with all of these teams, it sends the perception that I'm talking about the direction of the team. I'm taking a look at the houses in the area. I'm taking a look at the ballpark. And do they have a family? Like all that stuff that we assume goes into the meeting. But I think it's all just optics, right? So that he could say he did his due diligence. What it really comes down to is who's going to offer the most money.
And the perfect example of that, and me as a fan, forget about being in the business, as a fan, I get insulted when I'm treated as if I'm a child. So Mike Hampton took the Rockies offer because of the schools in Colorado. He took the Rockies offer because they offered the most money by a lot. The schools in Colorado, are you kidding me?
I think he wanted to hit in Colorado too, but I do think that was way less.
But if you make $20 million a year, and that's going to be nothing compared to what Soto makes, you could hire Einstein to be your home schooler. Forget about schools in the area.
But it's the same thing like when Giambi said that his dad's favorite player was Mickey Mantle. Like, there's always, they want to send the perception out that it wasn't about the money. What did George Young always say? When they say it's not about the money, it's about the money.
But why do they want to send that out? What do we care?
Because I think that there is that feeling of that I look like a hound, that I'm just going for top dollar. I want to make it seem like so if he signs with the Yankees and the Yankees pay him the most money, do you think he's going to say at the press conference, I stay with the Yankees, so they give me those money? He's going to go, no, the Yankees have a chance to win. I loved it here over the last year. If he goes to the Mets, it's going to be, I was really just blown away with what Steve Cohen said about the direction of the team and how well they played last year, and clearly they want to win. And if he goes to the Boston Red Sox, he'll say, oh, I just love the vibe. And like, it's always going to be a myriad of reasons why, except the reason why.
But here's what gets me. Like, he supposedly wants to meet with Hal Steinbrenner. For what? The Yankees have a $300 million payroll. They have marching orders every year to try to win the World Series. If they offer you the most money, why are you wasting Hal Steinbrenner's time? I don't get it.
Same agent.
I mean, you know the Yankees better than anybody.
All right, but let's go back to A-Rod. It was a long time ago. But same agent, same caliber of player for the era that it was.
Right. A-Rod was better, by the way.
All around, absolutely.
Yeah.
But, but we didn't know at the time with the PEDs. But you're right. Put that aside for a second. Remember the whole Met thing with Steve Phillips. I don't want a 24+1 scenario because the conversation was about like signage and tents selling merchandise. Is it about that? Is it about, all right, if I stay here long term with the Yankees, how are you going to take care of me besides financially? How are we going to work out the marketing? How are we going to work out who's going to be on the cover of the media guide? Like, is it that petty? Is that because that's the way it was with A-Rod, Michael? So is it going to be like that? Like, I can't imagine the Yankees putting up tents selling Soto T-shirts. But
A-Rod has told me that was all false. It was Steve Phillips getting out of it so the Wilpons didn't look bad. Wilpons didn't want to spend that money.
So
So he didn't ask for that. Alex, according to him, said he didn't ask for that stuff.
Okay.
He said, I didn't ask for that stuff in Texas. Why would I ask for it with the Mets,
Right.
where I really wanted to go?
But that would be the only thing that makes sense why you'd have a conversation with Hal. You've just been with the Yankees for a year. You know what the Yankees are about. So what can the conversation be other than dollars?
I think it's this. It's like these baseball players never got recruited like college basketball players get recruited and college football players. So they want the owners to stand there, and they're essentially saying, dance, clown, dance.
All right, so let's say,
I mean, really, what does he not know about the Yankee organization to take up Hal Steiner's time? And I'm sure Hal would meet with him 7 times if he has to, but it's all a waste of time.
Here's what I would want to know if I were Soto. A, how much are you going to pay me? And B,
how much are you going to pay me?
No, well, not just that. It's, all right, if you pay me what I want, how are you going to address third base? How are you going to address left field? Because if Hal says to him, well, with the money we're going to have to spend on you, that probably means we're going to have kids making less money play those positions because we do work with the budget. We'll give you what you want, but we're not going to be able to spend like a drunken sailor. Okay, he files that away, goes to Steve Cohen, and asks Steve Cohen the same question, and Steve's like, listen, I'm sitting on a bunch of money. I don't care about international money. I don't care about where we draft. If I sign you, I'm going to go out and get the best players available. Like, does that hurt the Yankees' chances? Like, is that something he's asking? Is like, how competitive are you going to be? Or am I going to cripple you financially if you sign me? Like he's like, what if Soto says, I like Pete Alonso. I'd like him to be my first baseman if I sign with the Mets. Are you willing to give Alonso what he wants for me to sign it? Like, could he be having those types of conversations?
I guess you could go there. I mean, but if I'm the New York Yankees, I go, you know what? We signed Judge to a $360 million contract. And the next year we went and got you. We don't scrimp. We're going to do what we have to do.
Yeah, but he might want to know specifics.
But you know what? You're not running the team, dude.
No, well, tell that to Boris.
Right.
Tell that to Soto. Because, all right, the Yankees might want to play that way, but how are the Mets going to act? How's Toronto going to act? San Francisco's interesting to me. They got a brand-new general manager. They've been snubbed by big free agents over the last few years. They're not that far away from competing. Like, what are they willing to do, Michael, to get this guy? There might be teams that not only are willing to pay through the nose, but let him dictate who they sign. Like, I don't know. Like, that's the thing that's scary. If I'm a Yankee fan, I'm wondering how far are some of these teams not only willing to go financially, but how far are they willing to go to let him to be the de facto general manager of the team?
Well, there's an old story that, when salaries started to explode in baseball, Joe DiMaggio was asked, well, what would you do in today, if you were playing for the Yankees and you're negotiating with George Steinbrenner? He said, I'd walk in the office and go, hello, partner.
Mm-hmm.
And, But it's hard for Soto to be the Yankees' de facto partner. That's Judge. So he's going to make more than Judge, but Judge is the captain of the team. I just think that this is an orchestrated dog and pony show.
Probably.
And the thing that bothers me the most, and this is when I would cut bait if I was a team in pursuit of him, if it's going to be a dog and pony show that's going to stretch out until January, I'm going to say I'm good. We love you. This is the amount of money that we'll give you. You have to answer us by December 15th. Otherwise, you're out. We cannot continue to kick the can down the road when we have so many holes to fill.
Right, but there are some teams that might be willing to go deeper into this winter.
Look, if you're the Mets, is there a number that you'd be uncomfortable with?
Financially?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think even with Cohen's money, if you started to dance above $60 million a year, then I think it just becomes folly, right? Because
it could get there if you have a couple of teams bidding.
Because
that's all that Boris wants. He wants 2 big money owners bidding.
But then the reason I say that, because I can hear a Met fan going, well, he has all this money, just give him whatever he wants. But you know how sports doesn't work that way. Then if you want to bring Pete Alonso back, how much are you willing to give him? So you're going to give Juan Soto, who is a flawed player. I mean, he is amazing, but as you just said, Alex Rodriguez is better. You think Judge is better. He's not a great defender. So it's not like he's the perfect player. And he's also not like you're guaranteed a championship if you sign him.
Right.
Well, then what am I going to give Alonso, who's been a really good soldier? All of a sudden, you're going to have a budget for him? All of a sudden, you're going to have a budget for pitchers that you might have to go out? Like, if you start throwing money around like that, then other players are going to be like, well, what about me? I might be half the player that Juan Soto is, so where's my $30 million a year? So I do think you have to have some sort of a limit, and I think if it starts to get deep into the 50s to 60, That's when I'm starting to be like, this money might just be a little bit too much.
I think
is that fair?
No, I think it's fair, and I think that the fan base that doesn't get him. Let's just talk about New York because that's where we are.
Mm-hmm.
If the Yankees don't get him and the Mets do, Yankee fans will be up in arms. How could you let the Mets outbid you? If the Yankees get him and the Mets don't, Met fans are going to be angry. How could Steve Cohen be outbid by anybody? So, but there is going to be a number of rationality,
right?
Where some owner is going to say, "I'm tapping out. I can't do this."
So forget me, forget you, the fans.
Right?
Is there a number where a Met fan or a Yankee fan will say, "I can understand not giving it to him"? Well, never mind the Yankees. I think the fans know, or at least should, that there is going to be some sort of line of demarcation. But the Met fan, knowing who Steve Cohen is, knowing the budget that he has, is there a number where a Met fan will say, I get it, Uncle Steve, I wouldn't do that either?
Maybe, but I don't know, because I think they felt that when a $20 billion man bought the team, that they'd get whatever they wanted. It's like a rich kid. You're going to get whatever you want at Christmas. So I don't know. I can't speak to the Met fan. I know the Yankee fan will be angry, but I will tell you this. Hal Steinbrenner is a circumspect dude. He does not have $20 billion in the bank like Steve Cohen. He is not going into his personal fortune to fund Juan Soto to the extent that it hurts the rest of the team. So I think there is a number that Hal will back out. I don't know if there's a number with Steve. Now, Steve's number might not ever get to that point if Hal backs out. If Hal goes, I'm done, then I'm done.
Yeah.
But you'll never hear it because that's an owner can't do it.
No. But here's the other thing the fans have to live with. I don't know how the Met fan will ultimately feel about it, but if the Mets were to run it back, you'd feel good about them, right? I mean, they came within 2 wins of going to the World Series.
Right.
Like, if the Yankees lose Juan Soto, even though I think it's unfair, but they won 82 games the year before Juan Soto.
Yeah.
So what are the Yankees without Juan Soto? They're not a World Series team. I think we can agree on that. Well, I think maybe they'll be a playoff team, maybe a wild card team.
No, I wouldn't say that until I know how they replace them.
Well, I think they'll go out there and now listen. If they get Bregman, if they get Burns,
if they get Santander,
yeah. But I don't know. I'm just saying, Michael, is that what as presently constituted, which is hard to say because the Yankees aren't presently constituted. There's a lot of guys that they're going to have to try to replace. Even if Juan Soto stayed, there'd be guys they would have to replace. But it's just the overall feel of the team. But I just have a feeling that I don't think there's a scenario where there's going to be too many Met or Yankee fans that are going to be like, I'm okay with not getting Juan Soto. The majority are going to be upset.
Now, I do wonder, and this, I guess we'll never know this. So Steve Cohen is going to go out and meet with Boris and Soto. If you inject truth serum into his veins, does David Stearns really want to sign a 14-year contract with this guy? David Stearns has built teams on the margins. Now he has the luxury of getting the best players because he has a rich owner, but that's not really the way he does things. Look at the way he built the team that went to the NLCS.
True.
On the margins.
I know.
Does he really want to spend that? I get it, but does he really want to sink, let's just for argument's sake, $50 million a year into Soto for 12 years?
But what are the reasons why you wouldn't want to if you're Stearns?
Because he does like to build a team through international signings and drafting and stuff like that. And if you go over the Cohen tax again, you will be impacted. Now, the Mets have a lot of room before they go over the Cohen tax again. I don't think the Yankees want to go over the Cohen tax. I don't.
Right, and
that's one of the reasons they played hardball with Cole.
But he's going to have the chance to be small market guy, Michael, once you sign Soto, of trying to stay under the limits of replacing all the other guys. I mean, you've got a rotation you have to build. So that's going to be expensive. So he could still work his magic. I just look at it this way, Michael. I think he probably doesn't have an appetite to do that. But if his owner tells him this is who I want, then you got to try to make it work. And when he came to New York, he had to have an idea that he's working with a much different budget than he did in Milwaukee.
Right.
I think, Michael, just based on how they handled last year's offseason, didn't it feel like they were trying to prepare themselves to go after Soto? Now, the question is, did they play well enough where they feel like he's not the necessity he was going into the season because they won 89 games and went to the league championship series? But I feel like all those one-year contracts, not diving deep into the free agent pool last year, was so that they can get ready to go after this guy.
I think so, but I think that he also likes to do business that way. He wants to keep the payroll fluid. All of a sudden, you're locked in for 12 to 15 years. At $50 million a year. Again, he has an owner that probably wants to play in that playground. But does he want to? And I wonder, is it all like eyewash? Maybe Cohen's going out to talk to Boris about Alonso.
Well, maybe.
I mean, he'll touch base on Soto.
Well, he flew to go see Yamamoto, right?
Yeah.
And the reason he didn't break the bank for Yamamoto is because he got a sense that he wanted to go to LA.
He didn't want to play in New
He's
York.
not going to get that sense from Soto, right? I mean, he's not going to go in there and go, I'm not going to bid because he looks like he wants to stay with the Yankees.
No.
So we're going to find out how far he's willing to go, because I think if Yamamoto was an actual free agent and was going to go to the highest bidder, I think the Mets would have outbid the Dodgers for Yamamoto.
If they knew they had a chance, probably. Because the Yankees outbid him, and he took the Dodgers. This portion of the Michael Kay Show brought to you by Security Dodge. Shop 24/7 at securitydodge.com during their Black Friday sales event. We'll come back, take your phone calls. Also, I want to make a point about, everybody saying the Yankees' plan B is Pete Alonso. Can I tell you right before the break?
No.
I don't see it.
I don't see it either.
I don't see it. We'll come back right here on Yes and 880 ESPN.
Elevate your everyday energy with the delicious taste of Spark. With classic flavors like strawberry and mandarin orange to bold fruit fusions like cranberry peach orange and fruit punch, you'll never have flavor fatigue. Use code FLAVOR to get a free sample pack with your first order of Spark.
Want to stop hair loss in its tracks? Through Hims.com, you can explore a range of options that work best for you, so you can grow visibly thicker and fuller hair. Get back your robust head of hair in just 3 to 6 months with doctor-trusted ingredients like finasteride, minoxidil, and a blend of supplements that support healthy hair. 3 in 4 Hims customers say they wish they started using hair treatment earlier. Stop hair loss and regrow hair. Get started today at Hims.com.
With Udemy, there's a world of possibility at your fingertips. With one click, you're in the leading online marketplace for learning and skills. Want to become an AI expert? This is learning from real-world experts around the globe. Want to awaken your artistic side? This is learning your way. Want to switch professions? Help your team reskill? This is Udemy, the power of possibilities.
We started to use Square. As we moved from one location to 2, we quickly realized that we needed better data so that we could customize the curation for each of the markets. Originally, we started with the KDS. By adding the Square Online for the full grocery offering, we hoped to grow sales about 20-25%. And we used the loyalty program, which has definitely generated a lot of repeat business. Since onboarding with Square, we've tripled the business. It's been fantastic.
With ButcherBox, you never have to worry about what's for dinner. We deliver grass-fed beef, organic free-range chicken, humanely raised pork, wild-caught seafood, and so much more. Get high-quality meat sourced from trusted partners with free shipping always, so you can always be prepared and enjoy the important things. Sign up for ButcherBox today.
Investing is not for everyone, right? Wrong. Wealth comes from pennies, like oaks come from acorns. Wealth comes from the decision to invest, to bury your acorns, give them time to grow into a mighty oak like squirrels do. You see, investing was never meant to be an exclusive club. You just didn't have the right tools for it. Now you do, buckaroo. Acorns. Grow your own. Look at that. Beautiful.
I chose Upstart because I was on financial aid for school. It did run out. Once I found Upstart, I was kind of relieved. They're interested in my background. They were looking at more than just my credit score. I was able to get my money fast. I was able to consolidate all of those credit cards into one payment and raise my credit score so that I was able to make that move right after college.
Undergoing an internal conflict. Her arms are so silky. They're like buttered noodles? Buttered noodles. Ew. Gross. You literally don't know this person.
So, my name is Isla.
How do you have such smooth arms?
EOS body lotion?
Yum. I mean, cool.
EOS body lotion. Stay smooth.
Switch to Square and join over 4 million businesses worldwide. Turn tables fast with Square Register at the counter or Square Terminal in your hand. Get a POS that connects to a KDS to handle orders ASAP. Easily take orders in person or online. And with Square Banking, get a loan quickly for everything from small repairs to the biggest dreams. Gain time and peace of mind with restaurant tools that bring everything together. Switch to Square today. Visit square.com to get started.
People are always asking me, where did you get those shoes? Like sneakers perfect for holiday shopping and bringing all kinds of joy to your world. Or cozy booties that pair well with hot chocolate and holiday movie binges. And of course, the perfect party shoes for every event on your calendar this season. Find gifts for your girls or just for you in my collection at DSW.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
If you get a phone call, do not talk to the person.
Never, ever give out your Medicare number. Just hang up.
I check my Medicare statements monthly.
To report Medicare fraud, contact the Senior Medicare Patrol in your state.
So there has to be a plan B for all the teams that are going to Soto. Soto's at plan A because it's going to cost so much money and looks like it's going to cost time. And I keep reading and seeing, and really, the stuff that's written by some writers, you have to look underneath the hood because some writers are using leaked stuff from certain agents to actually improve their clients' negotiating leverage. But I keep saying that if the Yankees lose Soto, that, one of their plan Bs or their fallback option would be Pete Alonso. And, Don, I got to tell you, I appreciate Pete Alonso as a player. He's a good power hitter. He's an okay first baseman. He's not a hack like he used to be, but he's certainly not a great first baseman. Why would the Yankees do that? How is that their plan B? That doesn't make sense to me. A right-handed batter that you're going to have 6 to 7 years for. He's 30 years old. Why would you do that? How does that fit the Yankee game plan with their left field? That's not the move to make. That's not your plan B.
Well, also, Michael, for all the reasons the Mets wouldn't want to bring him back is the reason why the Yankees wouldn't sign him.
Right.
Because he's just not going to be worth the money that you're asking for. And if he does come down to where he becomes affordable, then the Mets will keep him.
Right.
Because the Mets can see a bonus because they drafted him. He spent his whole career with the Mets. That's not going to mean anything to any of the other teams to be interested in the first baseman. What does that mean to the Yankees? They want to find somebody who's going to be productive for them. Now, will he be productive for them? Sure. But if he drops down to $20 million a year, the Mets will keep him. If he goes north of 30, Michael, the Mets wouldn't want him, and that's the exact reason why the Yankees wouldn't want him.
I look at it this way, and you might think I'm crazy. Like, if the Mets get Soto and they're out on Alonso,
right.
I don't think they're mutually exclusive. Let's just say, for argument's sake, you get Soto, you're out on Alonso, you move Vientos over to third, over to first, and get yourself some third baseman. If it's $20 million, it doesn't make sense for the Yankees. You don't need another right-handed batter. You need balance in your lineup. The Yankee lineup was so unbalanced last year that Austin Wells was hitting cleanup. Josh Chisholm was hitting cleanup. You don't need a right-handed batter between Judge and Stanton. That doesn't make any sense. You go out and you give 2 or 3 years to Christian Walker. Right. He's a much better play for you than Pete Alonso.
Or how much would it cost to bring back Rizzo?
I don't think they will go that route.
But if they were, does that mean?
Well, they gave him a $6 million buyout.
Right.
That instead of the $17 million. If they could get him for $4 million or $10 million, if they think he still has something left, they might do that.
No.
But I don't think they're going to go that route. There are other ways to go. If you get Soto, might put Ben Rice there. I don't know if that's advisable, but you might go that route. But there's so many ways you could play. When I hear that's plan B, to me that's plan Z.
And also, how many years you're going to give the first baseman?
I mean, if Alonso came to me and said, we'll take 3 years, I'd think about it. It still doesn't fit. It still doesn't fit.
But any
He's going to want at least 6.
Because you're going to want to have first base open for Judge.
Right. That's why Walker's the best play. He's 33 years old.
Yeah.
He had a plus 23 OPS plus 23 OPS plus. So he's 23.
That fits in, yeah.
23% better than the average player, and he's a literal Gold Glove first baseman. That's your play. You lock him up for 2-3 years, and then Judge moves there for the final 5 years of his contract or final 4 years of his contract. It doesn't make sense to lock into Alonso. Now, if I'm the Yankees, one of my plan Bs, and you'll laugh at me, the Cardinals are cleaning house. Now, he has a no-trade clause. But I've talked with Nolan Arenado. He's a baseball guy. He understands what works, what's important, history of the game. I go to the Cardinals and go, you eat $12 to $15 million of his $31 million that he's owed over the next couple of years, we'll take Nolan Arenado. Nolan Arenado is a platinum-level glove third baseman.
Yes.
You already wasted 2 years at $25 million a year for Josh Donaldson. This guy is a pro. This guy can really play. Now, he's probably on the downside.
Yeah, but
I would take my chance on Arenado. Then you get a first baseman. Then you get it. There's your plan B.
Yeah,
it doesn't include Pete Alonso.
I don't think Arenado's going to age the way that Donaldson did.
No, I don't think so.
Now, he might be on the back nine, but he's still, as you said, an A-plus defender. He can hit. Even with the numbers in Colorado, he hit in St. Louis. Yeah, so he's going to be, that would be a great plan B. Yeah, but Alonso, but you just said it, Michael. All of these writers are connected to Boris. Boris is probably feeding him because he wants to try to get a big market team involved. If people think the Yankees are involved in Pete Alonso, that's going to drive the price up.
Right, and the Yankees, and we've said this before, owners and GMs are not allowed to say we're not interested in this guy. So if the agents could play that game, but according to the basic agreement, Brian Cashman can't come out and say we have no interest in Pete Alonso. None. Can't do it because it inhibits the market. So you kind of handcuff that way, and then a smart agent like Boris could leak it to certain writers, and they're going to say, well, the Yankees are in on Pete Alonso. I would be stunned if they're in on maybe they end up signing him next week, and I have egg on my face. I'd be stunned if they signed Pete Alonso. You're
being honest. From what you know, from what you understand, and I'd be floored too. But I just think that we gave the reason. Boris is in their ear, and fans connected too. New York player, you need a first baseman, get Pete Alonso. So I can understand people buying into that.
But now, if you are a Met fan.
Yeah.
Take the fact that Pete Alonso is a forever Met at this point, and he's like maybe one season away from breaking the all-time home run record. So there's some value to that. But it shouldn't override common sense. The best move for the Mets, you move Vientos over to first, and then you sign Bregman.
Yeah.
For less money than Pete Alonso. You're a better team.
You're a better team. You saw the way Vientos played in the postseason, and he's still a kid.
I have one more thing that if I was the Yankees I would think about. Nobody would agree with me, but I've talked to baseball people and I think is a perfect fit. Jeff McNeil, Yankees. Yankees should trade for Jeff McNeil.
Yeah,
Jeff McNeil at that ballpark, I was told by a guy in the know, would hit 25 home runs at Yankee Stadium. So I said, isn't he kind of like, They say, no, he loves baseball. He's a baseball rat, and he would love playing at Yankee Stadium. The field suits him, and he's a much better defender than people give him credit for. So if they do that, Don, then you could keep Jazz Chisholm at third, and you don't have to worry about getting a third baseman. And the Mets probably want to get rid of McNeil, and maybe they eat some of that money.
Yeah, the worst thing that happened to McNeil was that batting title, because I don't think he was that kind of player.
Right.
But he just had a tough year. He was hurt. But in that ballpark, could make sense, and he is a good defender.
A friend of mine just sent me Arenado last 3 years OPS went from 891, 774, 719. So, yeah, he is on the back.
No, he's on the back. Yeah.
But you know what? He could field with anybody.
You won't lose anything defensively.
You could look at numbers like that for Pete Alonso, too. Look at his batting average.
Yeah.
Look at his home run totals.
And it's been tough in St. Louis the last couple of years. Could he be rejuvenated? I don't think he's going to age like Donaldson did. He is going to still be great. Nelson Donaldson was good defensively as well.
And also Donaldson was a little bit of an irritant.
Yeah. No.
I like Josh. I got along with him. But Nolan Arenado is a good guy in the room.
Right. But he's also, he got into it with the Mets. He's got a little edge to him,
Yeah,
too.
He does have edge. But I like that.
There's a difference
one of the reasons I got Donaldson, because they thought he had edge. But he also had edge in his own room.
Right.
So, and then, what he got into with Anderson didn't help.
No, that was
the Jackie comment.
Yeah.
So I know there was declining production from Arenado. That guy's a stud baseball player. I would take my chances if the Cardinals eat a lot of the money.
Yeah,
I'm not paying them $31 million.
No, but if they might eat it, sure. Why wouldn't they?
1-800-919-3776. Kendrick Perkins going to join us. Talk some concerns about the Knicks. He's a big Knick booster, and he tweeted out yesterday, I've got some concerns about the New York Knicks. We'll see what they are when we get back right here on Yes at 880 ESPN.
These cuts have likely been sitting out all day long. 2, you have no idea when they were packaged or where they came from. That's why we choose to get our protein from ButcherBox instead. This is high quality meat you can trust and enjoy. It's packed and conveniently sent straight to your door, so you don't even have to think about your next grocery trip. Stock up your freezer and whip up a quality meal every night by checking out ButcherBox.com.
When you order Domino's online, we'll give you a free pizza to use for a future pizza emergency. So you'll have an emergency pizza. A free pizza? Here you go.
Thank you.
When you need it most.
Untuck It makes every guy look better. From tall to short, from big to slim. From our iconic button-downs for all shapes and sizes to a whole lot more. Try us today. Untuck It. We just make guys look better. Oh, and we make great styles for her, too. Find the perfect fit at untuckit.com and more than 80 stores worldwide.
Well, if you want my 2 cents on interest rates, we got options.
My 2 cents. This one's priced to sell.
My 2 cents?
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 Here's my 2 cents. I'm planning for the future. Interest plus interest equals more interest. Come on, you gonna drink that?
Hi, Joan. Perfect timing. I have a few questions.
Of course. Let's look at your plan.
This winter, when you find yourself looking at this, don't do this, or this. When it comes to snow, go with Snow Joe, the #1 brand of cordless snow blowers. With ultra-powerful Ion Plus lithium-ion technology. Snow Joe's cordless snow shovels and blowers are the lightweight, cordless way to clear walkways, driveways, decks, steps, sidewalks, and yards.
I've been using the Snow Joe products for several years now. I'm very happy and excited with the way that they work. I also have a battery-powered snowblower, which works amazing.
This handy grab-and-go snow shovel weighs less than 14 pounds. It clears up to 300 pounds of snow per minute, throws up to 20 feet away with up to 70 minutes of runtime per charge. Got a bigger clearing job to handle? Forget about gas. Cut the cord and go with Joe. This 48-volt Snow Joe cordless blower clears over 10 tons of snow in 30 minutes on a single charge, about the weight of 5 pickup trucks. You only get that kind of power with Snow Joe's exclusive 24-volt Ion Plus battery technology with EcoSharp power management, driving a heavy-duty rubber-tipped steel blade auger that shreds snow without scratching the pavement and with 0 emissions. Best of all, it starts like this. Listen to how quiet it is.
After years of shoveling snow with a traditional manual shovel, my search led me to Snow Joe's cordless battery-operated snowblowers. Ended up being one of the absolute best purchases that I have ever made. Both me and my lower back, thank you.
Call now to order your Snow Joe today with prices starting at just $199.99. Or go online to snowjoeontv.com and pay as low as $19 a month. Order now and get 2 free gifts, a premium 3-year warranty, plus free shipping. A total savings of over $100.
Call 1-800-238-3495 or go online to snowjoeontv.com.
Hey, small business owners, your company may need to file its beneficial ownership information with the federal government.
So the Knicks just came off a road trip. They were 2-2. They looked like they were poised to beat the Hawks in Atlanta last night, outscored by 10 in the final 220. They lost to the Hawks 121-116. Brunson's had a few tough games in a row, but what caught my eye was after that Knick game, a guy I respect and really been on the money when it comes to the Knicks. Our very own Kendrick Perkins said that he was a little concerned about his Knicks. And I asked Anthony, can you get Kendrick on today? Because I'd like to ask him what his greatest concern is. And Kendrick was nice enough to agree, and he joins us now. Kendrick, it's Michael and Don. How you doing?
I'm doing well, fellas. I appreciate y'all having me on.
Oh, we appreciate you coming on. So what is the biggest concern for you about this Knicks team, which is different than the team last year that you liked?
It is. And look, I know it's going to take time, but I'm very concerned about a few things. One, the depth of the New York Knicks, right? Especially with Preston Achiuwa, Mitchell Robinson, and Campaign being out. And I'm a little concerned right now with my guy, Big Body Bronson. He has not been living up to his standards, the standards that he has set for himself. Right now, he ranked 29th in fourth-quarter points. That's not Big Body Bronson type, standards. And Karl Anthony Towns, he has to be better defensively. I want to see Tom Thibodeau grow in an area where we see a Knicks team that's clicking on all cylinders offensively. A lot of times we're watching them, they're standing around too much. Mikal Bridges, to me, I feel like you could utilize him a little bit more, especially OG Anunoby. It just don't seem like things are flowing right, and I know it takes time to develop chemistry, but again, it's not looking good, especially when you're looking at teams like the Cavs and the Celtics, the way that they're clicking, because everybody else don't matter. The Celtics is your measuring stick. It's the reason you go out there and make powerful moves and get Mikal Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns, and I'm just not feeling comfortable right now with the Knicks.
Can things get better when Achiuwa comes back? Can things get better in the second half of the season when Mitchell Robinson get back?
Well, we need to see what that look like because is Tom Thibodeau going to play a two-big lineup? And I got real love for Tom Thibodeau. We won a championship together, but I feel like when it comes down to coaches under pressure, he's the coach with the most pressure in the entire NBA. And he has to figure it out. He has to get it together on how this team is going to look. Now, Mitchell Robinson and Precious help. I thought Jericho Sims was going to be able to step into a backup center role until I actually went and watched the Knicks and Rockets game live, and I saw from my own eyes that he's just not ready to play. And it's not because he doesn't have the physical abilities. It's because the IQ is not there. And so he's still a work in progress, however long that may take. But another thing, Jalen Brunson, I watched him in that Rockets game on Monday. He didn't come out in the second half. I'm concerned over an 82-game span, is he going to be able to take the physicality, the slow pace that the Knicks play with, and with bigger guys defending him, is he going to be able to hold up and be ready for the postseason?
Now, one concern that I have right now, especially with Robinson out, do they have enough rebounding, Kendrick, to actually win? Because a lot of it's falling on Cat. He's not the same type of rebounder as Hartenstein was.
He's not, but you know what you do have? You have really, really good, great rebounding perimeter play. So that kind of counts out everything else, right? Long as Cat is go out there and get you that 12, 13, you can count on a Josh Hart that's engaged to go and get you 8 or 9. Mikal Bridges is pretty good at crashing the glass. I would like to see OG Anunoby mix it up a little bit more in the paint, and especially on the glass. I think they have enough rebounding-wise, but I'm concerned for them offensively.
Now, one thing that I'm concerned about, too, I wonder if you feel this way. I see it in baseball, Kendrick, where if you lose in the playoffs, the whole next year is, we have to just get back to that spot so we could actually make up for what we lost. And the Knicks were the toast of the town last year and didn't make it to the Eastern Conference Finals because of all the injuries. Could there still be a hangover from that?
No, because it's new blood, it's new energy in the locker room. My good friend Brian Wendy, a guy that I respect, that knows his stuff. He said the Knicks reminds him a lot of the Phoenix Suns last year. he expects the Knicks to be good, next year or 2 years from now, because he feel like they need to fill in the blanks. I somewhat agree with him, but I believe that the Knicks could be exceptional right now with what they have when healthy. But again, that comes on Tibbs. Tibbs have to make adjustments offensively. Well, we looking at this Knicks team, who's like, who the hell gonna stop them? I watched Steve Kerr with Buddy Hield. They look fantastic right now. The Cavs with Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, we finally see that they could coexist at a high level. Tibbs got to make it where we're looking at the Knicks, whether that's Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns more in the two-man game. Like, can we get more pick and roll, pick and pop action with those two guys? Like, those are the things I'm looking for, and I'm not seeing that on a consistent basis.
And how about just having a target on their back? They were the talk of the town the entire offseason. You heard Trae Young's comments after the game last night about the Knicks fans in the building. Like, how, as a player, do you deal with having that target when you only made it to the second round last year? I understand when you're a defending champion, but what about having a target on your back?
Well, I mean, that's what you signed up for.
Right.
I mean, look, the only team that has a target on their back is the Boston Celtics. Now, I get it. The Knicks are playing in the Mecca, okay? I get it. I understand. The expectations, the bar is there. But they're ready to rise to the occasion. But, again, they got to come by committee. And they gotta make sure that they utilize Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby more in the offense, not just as spacers. And the one thing I love about Jalen Brunson, outside of his game, is his level of accountability. He said it. I've been playing like, I can't say it on air, but he said he's been playing horrible and not up to his standards. And he's right? Like, he's so underrated as a playmaker. Last year, he had to average 28, almost 29 points because of the pieces he had around him. This year, he don't have to average that much. He really can average about 24 to 26 points, maybe even a little less than that. I want to see those assists get into double figures. If Jalen Brunson is averaging about 23, 24 points and 10 assists, I guarantee you this Knicks team will be damn near unguardable.
How does Mikal Bridges fit, Kendrick? Because, I mean, you could make the case that he might be the fourth best player in the starting rotation for the Knicks. I mean, Cat, Brunson, and OG, although you could argue OG or him or Mikal. So how does he fit? I mean, what option is he?
Well, that's on Tom Thibodeau to figure out. Mm-hmm. And you know what? You know why I love Anthony Edwards so much? Anthony Edwards said something after their first game about Julius Randle. He said it's not on Julius Randle to adjust to us. It's on us to adjust to Julius Randle. Mm-hmm. And that's the same thing that the Knicks need to do with Mikal Bridges. Go watch film. What was he successful at? The one thing that's underrated about Mikal Bridges, he got long arms. I mean, he could stand straight up and tie his shoes. He's an underrated post player, right? Like, he has great turnarounds over both shoulders. Like, he's underrated in that area. He's one of the best slashers that we have in the game today. Like, it's ways that you could design the offense to put and get more out of him than him just being a guy that's a spacer and a spot-up shooter.
All right, so you say there's a little level of concern, but at what line in the season do you start to panic? What number game?
I usually get like 25 games in. 25 games in is more than enough for me to say if this team is really, really like that, which I still believe. I still have hope in them, and I understand they're battling through injuries because, make no mistake about it, Mitchell Robinson, Precious Achiuwa, and Cam Payne are going to be key and vital to their success. I would also like, I think this is a moment right here where Miles McBride could step up a little bit more. I have, coming into this season, I had him predicted as my sixth man of the year this year. And it's still there for him to get, but it's going to have to be consistent. And again, it's just finding that system. and that trust in the others.
We're talking with Kendrick Perkins, our very own here on the Michael K. Show, 880 ESPN in New York. Kendrick, before I let you go, I read somewhere that the fans in Boston are upset at you because how you talk so highly of the Knicks. Is that true?
Well, I mean, that's their problem. You know,
I don't think it bothers
that's
you.
their problem. Yeah, that's their problem. You know what's crazy is this, right? I have nothing but love for the Celtics organization and the fan base of Boston, right? But that chapter of my life, that chapter in that book has been closed for a very, very long time. And they just don't understand. I have a job to do. And I got to call it like I see it. Did they win the championship? Absolutely. Do they look like they're on the verge of going to repeat? They do. They have the pieces if they're healthy enough. But it's another team that's in the Eastern Conference. That's the New York Knicks that are making noise and that are ready to look them eye to eye when they get healthy and figure things out. But, yeah, it don't bother me. I'm still going to sleep tonight with the AC on 60 and the box fan blowing in my face. They'll be okay.
Thanks, Kendrick. Okay. We appreciate you coming on. You got it.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, I had read like they were really, really angry at him, and like the championship ceremony, like he wasn't even welcomed in the building. And
but do you not get what he does for a living now? Like, do you not get it?
They don't get it. I've made a decision, Don.
You have.
I don't think you're going to like it.
I love it.
But I'm going to make a decision. I'm taking the Bengals for 2 points.
Interesting.
The point spread is 6.5 right now.
So interesting you say that, Michael.
Why?
I have received a text moments ago from Peter Rosenberg.
Oh, really?
And his pick of the day on the ESPN New York app was this, so it would be fraudulent if he didn't at least put it down. Cincinnati plus 6.5, his 2-point play as well.
Oh, my God. Now, I've got some numbers, too, Don. I've got numbers. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Joe Burrow, who's quarterbacking the Bengals, I don't know if you're familiar with his work, has been listed as an underdog of 3 points or more 19 times in his career.
19 times.
Now, he's 9-1 straight up.
Yeah.
But against the spread,
which is what we care about.
16-3, according to the Action Network. Last 20 years, Donald, Burrow is the third most profitable quarterback against the spread in this spot behind Drew Brees and Teddy Bridgewater. 2 points, Caster.
Well, what did I say in the beginning of the show, Mike?
You said you liked it. You liked the Bengals.
No, that's not what I said.
You said you loved it.
What did I say?
You said you loved it.
I love the Bengals. What do I do, Anthony, on Thursdays?
3, 3, 3, 3, 3.
Bing, bang, boom.
3 points.
3.
Wow.
Bengals 3. Now, the play would be Ravens to really stick it to you guys, but I'm not feeling that.
Yeah.
And if I didn't say love, Anthony, then I wouldn't be going there.
No,
but I said love, and now I look at myself, you know what? I can gain a point, and if I lose, no biggie. They just lost their 2-point plays. No harm, no foul. They're chasing me. But I do feel, I think Cincinnati's going to be big in the second half. Now, I picked them to win outright on my daily news pick. So, Michael, how fraudulent would it be if I didn't take the number? If I like them to win the game, Michael, then the 6.5, that's nothing.
You're right. I have the feeling, Donald, that if you could make it a 7-point play, you might do it.
I'm loving this game. So, but I can't. I can't make it a 7-point play. But you can make it 3. I can make it 3. And wow, what an interesting. This is a good game by itself.
Right.
Now you throw all this in.
But, no one gets hurt. The only one that could get hurt is you with a loss. Because we could pick a 3-point winner.
I understand it, but I'm feeling it.
Sure.
And I looked over the games.
Yeah.
It's not a great. It's a great week. There's fun games, but nothing that you feel like.
You leaning anywhere with the Jetsies?
Yeah, I am.
But you don't want to tell me.
Why?
Well, because there's Friday. Well, no, he asked if I'm leaning, Anthony.
Haven't we learned?
Well, no, but
he won last
I
week.
can lean Cardinals, right?
Oh, you sure could.
I got like a Hart or a Lomax feel to this. You don't know, right?
Lomax.
Yeah, Neil Lomax, remember?
Yes. Yes. We just had an election for president.
I am aware.
Yeah, Donald Trump won. Stephen A. Smith, our good buddy,
on The View today,
was on The View, and he was asked in a serious manner, would you, in fact, run for president of these fine United States? This is what Stephen A. said.
The answer would be hell no, because I like my life. I'm living a pretty good life. But I must confess, I wish I could debate some of these guys. I'd love to be on a debate stage going up against these guys. And, I'm half joking, but I kind of mean it. I mean, I have no desire to be a congressional figure or a senator. But if you came to me and you told me I had a legitimate shot to win the presidency of the United States of America, I would definitely consider it. But I would be an independent because I don't like either side, and I'm not going to be bought and paid for. I'm going to do what I believe is in the best interest of the American people, whatever that may be, and I'm going to make my decisions and I'm going to stand on it.
Now, Don, you're a religious watcher of The View, and you said Stephen A. did a good job today.
He did a very good job. Unfortunately for him, he was interrupted by Biden's speech.
The actual president.
Yes.
Right.
So, listen, I love Stephen, but legitimate chance at independent, that's tough, right?
Yeah.
When was the last independent to
well, Ross Perot impacted a race, but
but he didn't have a legitimate chance to win. But I thought he was very, very good with what happened on Tuesday. I like Stephen a lot. I know he rubs a lot of people the wrong way, but he comes at it very educated, very opinionated. And, people like Nancy looked at it. And listen, when I say I watch The View, because I watch the news, I consume Channel 7 because it's my job.
Have for years.
So it happens to be on when I get back from kickboxing. Bad news on kickboxing, I got to tell you.
What?
So it's on. And I was legitimately interested to see what their reaction was going to be to what happened on Tuesday. But Stephen's on, and Nancy's like, Stephen A. talking about something not sports? I'm like, listen, you don't know Stephen the way I know Stephen. I've worked with Stephen. We know Stephen well. He's opinionated on everything. And when he left ESPN, Michael, for that little respite like a decade ago, this is the stuff he did while he was gone. So,
well, he's certainly expanding his...
no, it's a good idea.
Yeah, his brochure, so to speak. Yeah. What happened with kickboxing?
It's over? December 1st. They're closing it up.
Why?
Listen, who am I?
You've kept them alive.
I think I have. Now, it's CKO. It's a franchise. So there's another one that's about like another 15 minutes away.
Do you need that? Do you need that ride?
No, Michael, I can't stop. This is like Doritos.
So you will make the extra 15 minutes? Of course. Another half hour in the car?
I can't, like, no pun intended, kick this.
Kim will be there.
Well, I'm hoping he's got a decision to make. I'm hoping he'll go. Wow. And you know what? Kimball's for hire. If for some reason it didn't work out, I would hire Kimball to be my trainer.
Your personal trainer?
Yeah.
You're that into it?
Yeah. Today was my 289th class. I mean, I'm loving this.
And they closed up shop.
Yeah. I mean,
do you ever see people in the place other than you?
Yeah,
it's bustling,
I would
and they
say
still
on
shut
the
it
average, it's like, there's like 12 to 20 people in every class.
So somebody's like skimming off the top then.
Well, no, because
has to be.
But that's the 9:30. I don't know how many people go to the different, the 4 o'clock and the 6 o'clock. I don't need to get in anybody's pocket. I mean, I'm not talking to the owner.
You, though.
No, but I asked, Kimball said they're banging it up at December 1st. Why? And it's like he was shocked too. I need to talk to the owner. What do you think? I'm going to be able to get audience with the owner of the place? Did you
get choked up when they told you?
I got. Listen, it was tough.
Verklempt?
This has been my religion now for the last year and a half. Now I'll go. There's one in North Brunswick I'll go to. It's a little bit farther away, but you know what? I'm committed. Hopefully the classes will be at the right time. Hopefully Kimball will make the move, but that was a kick right in the cubes today.
Right in the cubes.
Really?
And there's no way to defend that, even with all the lessons you've taken. Now, is this for weight loss, or is this to get in good shape?
Both. I might have lost weight, but I'm in better shape.
Well, why don't you just become Don Zempic?
No, how does that help you?
Makes you lose weight.
But I want to be physically fit.
Yeah, if you go to the Don Zempic route and then you take classes.
No,
again.
I think this is the way to go, man.
Right.
But I really enjoy it. It's fun. What are you supposed to get? 30 minutes of cardio? What? 5 days a week?
The minimum is 20. Yeah, if you do anything less than 20,
I'm getting an hour 5 days. I'm going 5 days a week.
An hour a week.
An hour a day. Wow. And I love it. I'm not giving it up. I'll go as far as I got to go. But
so if the place was located in the Bronx and was an hour and 10 minutes, you'd still do it.
Now it doesn't make fiscal sense. Well, and also, this is close to the kids' school. It's really convenient where it is now.
Does Nancy, does it bother her that you leave for an hour every day? Or does she even notice?
No, she notices.
Does she ever watch you kick?
She did come by the one time.
And?
It was pretty cool.
Yeah?
Yeah.
She was turned on?
You'd have to ask her. But it's been since like high school baseball the last time I got to like try to impress her.
Right, and this impressed her, the kicking?
You'd have to ask her. I think she was taken aback by
Anthony, can you just call her and ask if she got turned on watching Don?
Yeah, I'll get right on that.
I don't think he feels comfortable.
You said I should ask her. It's the only way I can know.
But have Anthony. He's not interested. He's supposed to call and ask Nancy now?
Yes. See how that works, you, Ant. When we get back, we'll see if he has an answer right here on Yes in 880 ESPN.
Dear unbreakable spirit, when the terrain is gnarly, you steady us. When obstacles are ahead, you lift us. When the turf is hostile, you inspire us. Own a legend. Toyota Trucks.
Get Black Friday savings all month long. Lease Tacoma for just $289 a month or get 1.99% APR for 72 months on a new Tundra. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota. Let's go places.
It's big, it's back, and it's only $6. Get the big box y'all love today. And this holiday season, you can order a Cajun-style turkey at your local Popeyes.
Love that chicken from Popeyes.
Amazon early holiday deals are here. Woo! Woo! With everything you need to kick off the season. Woo! Shop Amazon early holiday deals now.
From the personal experiences that shaped you to the accomplishments that shaped the world, every moment of a veteran's service is meaningful. At the Library of Congress Veterans History Project, we ensure those moments are never forgotten. For 25 years, the collection has made the experiences of U.S. military veterans accessible to all. Veterans, now is the time to share your story and make our history more complete. To submit your stories, photographs, and documents, visit loc.gov/vets today.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching Yes.
When you see all the people who work at Shriners Hospitals for Children, you might see everyday people just doing their job. But to me and other kids, they aren't just receptionists, therapists, or doctors. They're superheroes. But these superheroes are only able to help all of us kids because of the support of people just like you who empower their abilities so we get the care we need to live our lives like super kids.
Because of people like you, I can play the violin.
I can play piano. And I can walk. Please go to loveshriners.org right away. Help us be superheroes too.
The best ideas come from solving common problems. My problem, like a lot of other men, I couldn't find a shirt that looked good untucked. So this became my passion, to design a shirt that captures the perfect balance between length and fit. Easy to say, not that easy to do. But with some innovative design changes, we did it. Our problem, my solution. Untuckit.com.
If you're an asbestos victim, pay close attention. Billions of dollars are being paid out to people like you. We should know. We're Whites and Luxembourg, the law firm that already won over $9 billion for men and women just like you. That's right, over $9 billion for mesothelioma sufferers and their families. We know you're short of money, and we know you're short of time, so we fight hard. Call Whites and Luxembourg at 917-LAWYERS. That's 917-LAWYERS. Whites and Luxembourg, winning big for the little guy.
Chris Sheeran back here for the Michael K. Show. Let's head around the NFL and check in on the leaders as we're about to kick off a Week 10 tonight in Baltimore on Thursday Night Football. And both of the quarterbacks featured tonight are in the top 5 when it comes to passing yardage. Just 2 of these quarterbacks currently, though, have their teams in the playoff picture. That would be Lamar Jackson and Kirk Cousins of the Falcons. Derrick Henry is the lone member of the 1,000-yard club so far when it comes to running backs, and he is also the only AFC running back in the top 5. Henry also leads the league in rushing touchdowns with 11. He's also averaging over 6 yards per carry. This week, his team is in San Diego. The Chargers are currently 8th against the run this season. In the receiving yards category, it's the Vikings' Justin Jefferson leading the pack with 783 yards. The Bengals' Jamar Chase is second in yardage, but first in touchdown receptions with 7. And the Jets' Garrett Wilson is third overall in yards. He leads the league, though, with 60 catches.
Well, the NBA's episode of Family Matters is taking a little bit of a hit. Bronny James, according to sources of Shams Charania, has been assigned to the Lakers' G League affiliate, which is the best thing for the kid.
Yeah, of course. We knew this was going to happen. Because now he can develop into whatever he's going to be.
Yeah. But it shows you the whole thing was an act.
Yeah, of course. I think everybody knew that. We talked about it from the very beginning. I mean, you could be happy about it if it entertained you, but it was all just not made up. But this was something that they had in mind all along, and now he's going to go to the G League. And if you enjoyed it, great. But there wasn't a spontaneous moment. It was something that was planned from the beginning.
And he got his points, and he scored them in Cleveland, so there was something extra special to that. And he made his debut on opening night on ESPN. Or maybe that was on TNT. I'm not quite sure.
But, no harm, no foul, right? I mean,
He hasn't hurt anybody.
I think all we did was talk about how, let's not make it out to be that big of a deal. This is how they planned it. But I guess you could still look at it as a cool moment, and nobody got hurt by it.
Let's go to the phones. Ed in Queens. Eddie.
Extra special fact.
Eddie.
You got to turn down.
No, he's got a lot of time to do it now because he's
gone. Could be an app, could be TV, could be radio. We don't know.
It's 22 years doing this.
And they're told.
They're told.
I've heard Anthony say it.
does it, and you can hear the show on hold. There's no need to have it on.
0.
We need a little respite from this. Here we go.
There isn't much that I have learned through all my foolish years, except that life keeps running in cycles. First there's laughter, then those tears.
You know what makes it great?
So many things.
Is that I believe that if you injected truth serum into him, he would honestly say he believed he did a great job.
Oh, he nailed it. Yeah. I think it's a little pitchy, dude, but, it's fine. Let's go to David in Astoria. Hello, David.
Hi, Michael and Don. Thank you for taking my call. Michael, real quick, before I ask the Soto question, yesterday when you were mentioning the center stage guest, before you mentioned Jerry Seinfeld, the name that popped into my head that I thought you were going to say was Robert De Niro. I was curious if maybe he was like a top 3 or 4.
You know what, David? I would not want him on the show. Not that I don't. I think he's a otherworldly actor. He's a terrible interview.
No, he's not good.
If you've ever seen him on any talk shows, he doesn't speak well off the cuff. So no, that would be one of the last people I'd want on. Really?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. I didn't realize that. Okay, thank you. So my question, you guys have touched on it a little bit. I have 2 scenarios. If the Yankees re-sign Soto, I'm assuming first base is probably Rice and LeMahieu, and second base is, a battle between Peraza and Caleb Durbin. If they don't re-sign Soto, I'm hoping, you mentioned it, I'd like to see us sign Christian Walker at first base, maybe Bregman or Adames at third base, and then in the outfield, some combination of like Max Kepler, Tyler O'Neill, Michael Conforto, something like that.
I think that you're leaving out Santander. I think they would love Santander.
Well, I just feel like if you get Bregman and Walker, maybe you can't afford Santander as well.
But would you
So,
want Bregman, David? I mean, he's 30. He's going to want like a 6 or 7 year deal. Do you want to get into another one of those deals?
Not that long. I was hoping more for like 4 or 5 years if you can get him for that. But then if you go 6 years, what about Willie Adames and move him to third? Move him to third. He's only 29. I like Willie Adames a lot, like a guy like that. But my question is, if you say they could get those kind of players, is the team stronger signing Soto and going with, the Rices and the Durbins, or is it stronger when you fill in, if you are able to get a Walker, a Bregman, and Adames, and maybe, like I said, Conforto and O'Neill to platoon in the outfield?
It's a great question, and I don't know if I have a perfect answer for you, David, because right now the Yankees have a lot of potholes they have to fill. Think of it like that. Mm-hmm. But if you lose Soto, you've created a crater that you have to fill. You have to somehow make up those numbers, and also from the left side of the batter's box. So I think I don't know if a combination of DJ and Ben Rice, even with those other people that you fill in, I don't know if that makes up for Soto. I mean, there are ways to make up for Soto, and I understand what people are saying. You can get 3 players for the price of the one, but the one is so special offensively. Because I'm not buying into the fact he's a good defender, despite him being a Final 3 in the Gold Glove. I watch him every day. He's not a plus defender.
No, he's not.
He's got a very good arm, doesn't track the ball well, especially going back. Now, maybe that's something he can improve on. Mm-hmm. He's only 26, but he's otherworldly as a hitter. That's hard to make up.
He's a special hitter, works counts. He can change the game. Speaking of finances, Michael, this has been interesting. I'm sure you're aware of the Igor Shesterkin, when is he going to sign and all that. Well, Kevin Weeks, who's on top of everything, sent a very cryptic tweet about a half hour ago. Eye-popping emoji, $sign, 11.5 million, question mark, with the picture of the New York skyline. So, all right, that must mean something. And then another
could it be what he's asking for or what they're offering?
Well, so there's that. All right, what does that mean? And now Neil Smith, former Rangers general manager, tweeted out, "Extension watch is on for Igor Shesterkin. Brace yourself. Hashtag NHL, hashtag NYR." So
would that be...
Would
that be knee buckling that number 11.5?
No, because what we're hearing is that he wanted 12,
right?
And there were some people thinking
what were the Rangers looking to give him?
Well, I think what was the offering? Are they 11? Did he turn down something like that?
He turned down 11.
He turned down 11. So obviously you're
8
talking
for
8 years.
I think it was, right?
So are they $500,000 each a year? Did that go? So it sounds like something is rumbling, something's happening here, which is a big deal only because, Michael, you want to lock up your goaltender, becomes a free agent at the end of the year, and then you got to try to put all your ducks in a row as far as finances are concerned. They got Lafreniere done. If they get Igor done, that's a huge sigh of relief for Ranger fans. So
now let me throw this at you, and this is coming from a totally neophyte level of hockey knowledge. Okay, I see a lot of teams, not a lot, but there have been some teams that win the Stanley Cup with less than superstar goalies.
Sure,
is it worth it to lock in $11.5 million of a hard cap league on your goalie?
Well, here's the thing, Michael. Tampa was in the same situation with Vasilevsky. They gave him 9+, and they went ahead and won 2 Stanley Cups and went to 3 straight Stanley Cup Finals.
But didn't somebody win a Stanley Cup?
No, Aiden Hill was the goaltender for the Vegas. Darcy Kemper was the goaltender for Colorado. But here's the thing, Michael. He's already on your team,
right?
So it's not like, I got to go out and spend big money on a free agent goaltender because I need a goalie. He's already on your team. You drafted him. He's supposed to be the second coming of Henrik Lundqvist. If he walks out the door, then what are you going to do? Now you're going to have to get a lesser goaltender for less money, which is great. But I would ask the question, are you a good enough team up front to where any goaltender can help you win? Like when Colorado won the Cup, Michael, they had some of the best players in the league, including McKinnon and Rantanen and Landeskog, Makar. Listen, the Rangers are loaded with talent too, Michael, but to have a Vezina Trophy winner walk out the door and then just put somebody at a quarter of the price and think you're going to go out there and win a cup, he's already on your team. So you offered him 11. If he ends up giving you 11.5, that's not breaking the bank. But if it was 12, some people were saying he might wait for the cup to the cap to go up and then want 13. I think you want to lock up what you have here. and put yourself in a position. What did Hank say to us when he was on a couple of weeks ago? You pay goalies that money for consistency. Darcy Kemper's not in Colorado anymore.
Right.
You know, Aiden Hill's still a good goaltender in Vegas. Like, do you want to play the game of rotating different goalies? Do you want to say, I've got a Vezina Trophy candidate for the next close to a decade? Check that box. We're good.
How long would it be?
8 years. So I that would be great. So Kevin Weeks usually on top of it. We'll see where that goes. And if Neil Smith is still pretty tapped in, so keep an eye out on that. I'll be at the Garden tonight. Rangers Sabres. I'll have my ear out to hear if anything's coming down with that. So pretty cool stuff.
Let's go to John in Long Island. Johnny.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Good.
I love the show. I've been a diehard Yankee fan all my life. I'm 70 years old. I've been a fan since I was 5 years old when my father put me in front of the TV. The one thing that I just don't understand is all these guys, how they're picking on Aaron Judge, in the, what do you call it? On his...
social media?
On the social media, with these memes and everything. Don't they realize if it wasn't for him, they would have never got to that show. They would have never made it to the World Series. I think it's all in his head and was in his head the last 3-4 weeks of the season. And we all know when something gets in a guy's head, until it gets out of there, it's a rough haul. So I think he's still the best. Are they going to get Soto? Who knows? I mean, Soto's in it for the money. I'd like to believe they'll get him, but you know what? If he goes, he goes, and I'm sure they can pick up a couple of extra guys that could make the team good. Possibility still of going to the show. Don, like to tell Don, I used to box. I started boxing when I was 64. Okay, I boxed for about 3 years.
Okay.
4 years. I would tell you this about the boxing. Just be careful if you're going 5-6 days a week, because I threw my shoulder out when I was doing it, and it took me over a year and a half with physical therapy. I couldn't even put on a jacket without holding it. So it's great. It's probably the best hour you could spend in cardio. I got addicted to it. The only reason I did not go back is I was afraid of that shoulder. Because when you start to get older, your body does break down.
Well, the thing I learned, and John, listen, thanks for the heads up. I've heard people with the same story, is that it is easy to get into it, Michael, and start exerting yourself more than you should. And just try to stay within yourself. Listen, you want to push yourself, but you also don't want to go to the point where you're exerting so much energy that you hurt yourself. Listen, it's not just boxing. We're kicking, we're doing cardio, we're jogging, we're doing push-ups. There's a lot of things that go into it than just hitting the bag. But I'll be careful. I appreciate that. But being in shape, Michael, you work out. You got to push it to the limit to get something out of it. Just don't exert yourself to the point where your body can't take it. And if you're feeling pain, walk away. Right? I'm sure that shoulder that he injured was probably giving warning signs that he didn't pay attention to.
He said, you know what, I'm going to play through it.
And it's called something modify. So if it's something I can't do, if Kimball asks me to do something that I physically can't do, we'll do something similar. Like the burpees, sometimes it's just my body just isn't into the burpees.
What exactly is a burpee?
Burpees is basically throwing yourself on the ground and jumping back up.
Oh, you don't like the burpees.
So I'll do a squat instead. Like, just, know your limits, know your limitations. I mean, what's wrong with that? It's called modifying.
Now, one thing John brought up is how, people are destroying Judge on social media because of a bad postseason. By the way, his last game, though, he had a home run and a double and 2 walks, and I think he was on his way to having a good game 6 and 7, if there was a game 6 and 7, but it didn't happen. He dropped the ball in center. But I think that it's a dangerous thing, Don. It's a product of how the Yankees are marketed, where all that counts is winning a championship. So because Judge has struggled in October, these people, because they've been indoctrinated into thinking that there's no season unless you win a title, they're going to jump a guy who hit 58 home runs and drove in 144 runs. Is going to be unanimous MVP choice. They're the ones that are missing out. If they want to jump Aaron Judge, they're missing out.
But this is life. This is the life he's chosen. Carlos Beltran was probably the greatest free agent signing in the history of the Mets.
And people remember the strikeout.
And all they remember is the strikeout looking. Michael, you drop a ball in the World Series, there's going to be
I think
jokes and all that stuff.
They're on him more because of the not hitting.
Yeah, but no more than Alex Rodriguez had to take it, right? And Alex fought through it, won the championship in 2009, and now everything's coming back to him. He's going to have his moment, but he's going to have to live with this. I'm sorry. Maybe it's unfair, but that's what comes with being in New York, Michael, is that if you don't come up big in the big spot, you're going to hear it. And when you come up big in the big spot, like Eli Manning and Reggie Jackson and Mark Messier, then you live forever. Yeah, hopefully, if you're a Yankee fan, that time will come. But until then, this is kind of par for the course.
Yeah, and when you sign with the Yankees, because the Yankee fans have been, kind of raised to think that nothing happens during the regular season that's of any import, and I think it's laughable. As John from Long Island said, they don't get to the playoffs if he doesn't have 58 home runs.
Of course. They're not the Yankees without him, honestly.
Listen, you people can hate all you want. He's a great player, and I'll say it again, and I said it yesterday, and I had some pushback. He's a better player than Soto. The only thing that makes Soto more desirable now is he's 6 years younger. He's a much better player, much better. He hits home runs more than Soto. He hits for a higher average. He drives in more runs.
Better arm,
He's a really good right
defender.
fielder, much better than Soto. He's a better player. I'm sorry. He is.
But the young part is huge.
Oh, it's gigantic, and I'm not going to deny that. But if you take it in a vacuum, who's the better player? Who's the better baseball player? It's Aaron Judge. He's a better baseball player than Soto. You want them both because they work great together. But tell me which one's better? Aaron Judge is better on this day. Now, in 3 years, probably not. But today and this past year, he's a better player.
But Soto's 6 years younger. Soto's got a ring. There's a lot of attractiveness to Juan Soto, but let's not look past what Aaron Judge has accomplished in this sport.
I will come back right here on Yes and 880 ESPN.
With so many games on Hard Rock Bet, you can win from almost anywhere. Like here or here.
Yes. Don't go. Your good luck.
Or here.
Blackjack! Never doubt the lucky seat. Respect the seat, Lewis!
Casino games for every kind of player. Hard Rock Bet. Roll with us.
Lucky seat strikes again!
It's big, it's back, and it's only $6. Get the big box y'all love today. And this holiday season, you can order a Cajun-style turkey at your local Popeyes.
Love that chicken from Popeyes.
AE drinks Sprite. AE drinks Sprite.
You want to hoop like me? Practice. You want a refreshing drink? Obey your thirst.
I debate all day. It's what I do. But there are some things that are undebatable, like your mental health. I was in a dark place when my brother passed away in a car accident. I was depressed in ways I never imagined. I reached out, and my sisters came, my pastor, my therapist. They helped me get through it. I found that the more I spoke up, the healthier my mind became. When you love your mind, you can go so much further. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org.
Eyes forward. Don't drive distracted.
At this very moment, Doctors Without Borders is on the ground in communities around the world, delivering life-saving medical care where it's needed most. Our teams are bandaging war-wounded patients caught in the crossfire in Sudan, providing clean drinking water in Haiti, and performing emergency C-sections in Yemen. Doctors Without Borders teams are in over 70 countries worldwide, bringing patients from sick to recovering, from emergency to aid, from crisis to care. This life-saving work is made possible by our movement of supporters, people like you who help our patients even when they're half a world away. At Doctors Without Borders, we won't stop working to bring our patients and their communities from crisis to care.
We can just have someone on fiber do it. It's no big deal.
Hiring freelancers just for small tasks is like hiring Martha Stewart as an...
Here's your coffee.
Oh, best intern ever.
Sometimes great talent is right under your nose.
What's your name again?
Hi, Eric.
Hi, Mel. Is now good for a quick catch-up on your plan?
Yes, that was great.
Has anything changed since we last spoke?
You know what? Yes, I'm thinking more long-term.
Great. We'll make that change to your plan and adjust as needed.
This helps a lot.
Bye, Mel.
Bye. Make sense of your money with Citizens.
Dare to compare. Bob's Renegade versus my competitor's similar set. Both have power reclining seats, USB ports, and a storage console. But mine is $700 less. See how much you can save when you dare to compare. In store or at mybobs.com.
Team grows in Brooklyn. Board by board. Block by block. Play by play. Shot by shot.
We got Nets.
You coming?
Cancer is one journey no one should take on alone. Your support helps us bring together the best doctors and scientists, accelerating research that's leading to more effective treatments. Join us, and let's go further together.
Today, Peter's on assignment. He'll be back tomorrow, right? As far as we know?
As far as we know.
Yeah. You never know with him. Could be another assignment.
There could be another. So I'll check the papers to see if there's any potential assignments.
All right. Let's go to Jimmy in Connecticut. Jim.
Hey, guys. What's going on?
Well, how you doing?
Listen, so good. Soto is no doubt a superstar. It's going to punch me it's going to be a kick in the cubes if we lose him. But there's a couple of things to think about here. Number one is that Hal Steinbrenner, unlike his father, as we've seen, makes a real effort to be fiscally responsible. So, and if you look at the late 90s Yankee teams, again, it's a little bit different era of baseball. It's 25 years ago. They weren't top-heavy teams. They had only 2 Hall of Famers in Jeter and Mo, but they had 0 holds. And the other thing you have to think about is that if he's going to re-sign Soto for an asinine amount of money, not asinine, but, a high dollar amount, we have to look at the recent history of it, because if they're going to play kids in these positions that they have to fill, you have to look at the recent history of how they've developed their prospects, and it hasn't been great. So there are reasons to believe maybe you could build a team that's more likely to win a championship if you don't go after Soto. I want to know your thoughts, but this is just how I'm feeling.
It's a really good question, Jimmy. One thing I would say, George didn't have to operate with any guardrails. There was no tax. So, Hal, if he passes a certain point in payroll, is paying 100% tax. So that's an onerous thing that the owners put in to stop people from spending so much money. George didn't have that. He could spend whatever he wanted. And you say they only had 2 Hall of Famers, but if you look at those teams, Don, they had a lot of borderline Hall of Famers. Posada, Bernie Williams, Paul O'Neill. I mean, these guys were great players. They just weren't Hall of Famers.
But you wonder if the climate was the same back then, where the international money and all the things that come with that, not a salary cap, but the budget that you have to have. What's the word that I'm looking for? Not going over the threshold. How many of those guys might have been casualties?
You're right.
And where it would have hurt is the depth. They wouldn't have been able to go sign Tim Raines and Chili Davis and Darryl Strawberry. Those were important guys that would come off the bench. It seemed like the Yankees had a great player backing up great players. They had all-stars at every position, and whoever can climb in was a borderline all-star. You can't live in a world like that anymore. It would be really curious to see, like, if you sat down with somebody from back then, or even a Brian Cashman, like, you wonder who would you have lost?
You probably would have Chili, and you probably wouldn't have Tim.
No, but would you have lost Bernie Williams to Boston?
You might have lost Bernie to Boston, yeah.
You
absolutely,
know, so
because you'd have to fill in with the lesser salaried players. Now, would they be better off with Soto and the young players, or 3 good players and no Soto? I know what he's saying, that, you know, they haven't developed position players that much, but, you know, they did develop an everyday catcher, and they developed a number 3 starting pitcher in Clark Schmidt. So it's not like nothing. They had Anthony Volpe, a Gold Glove winning shortstop, came out of their system. So I hear what you're saying. I guess if they get Soto, their second baseman might be Chad Durbin, who they love. But would he translate to the big leagues? Who would their first baseman be? Would it be Ben Rice? I don't. It's a great question. They're going to have their starting staff come back. They've got to fill in the bullpen as well. I think Soto is so important that they probably are slightly better with Soto, but I'm not panicked if they don't get Soto to think that they're going to hit rock bottom. I think they'll be just as good, but just in a different way.
The only thing, it's almost like bringing in a lot of relief pitchers. They all have to click. So if you get 3 guys in free agency to fill in third base and left field or whatever else you need, what if one of them doesn't work out?
Yeah.
You know, or what if they're all average? Or, you know, if all 3 click, yeah, they will be better than just Juan Soto. But we'll all click. Will they all work out?
And then the beauty of the baseball season, what the Yankees do well is they pivot. So if it doesn't work, they make deals. Mm-hmm. And then they probably, you know, he can go to Hal Steinbrenner and go, I'd like to raise the payroll this much. And you know, Steinbrenner usually says yes. Let's go to Dave in Queens. Dave.
Guys, thanks. Don, can I please get an ice pick tonight? I know it's late. There's 12 games. If you can, don't rush it.
Come on,
12 games of this league.
All right, listen, I got the Sidney Crosby one a couple of days ago. I made you some money there. Before the end of the show, I will have some. Okay. Will I have you till 6:30?
Me? Hell yeah. You have me since 2003.
Well, okay. I'm just meaning, just be listening. I'll tell you what. I'll come out after we do Point Guard at 6 o'clock. I'll give you an ice pick. So hang out for like 10 minutes. All right?
Yeah. All right. And guys, all right. I'm off from work for a few days. I'm headed tomorrow to Cincinnati. First time. I'm going to the Pete Rose Memorial in Great American Ballpark.
Okay.
If you're not familiar with it, if your listeners aren't, his daughter Fawn is not throwing. It's a memorial, of course, but she's set up with Major League Baseball and Great American Ballpark. Pete's casket is going to be in that stadium. It's open to the public, no ticket. Anybody can go. It's from 7 a.m. Sunday to 9 p.m. Sunday.
Let me ask you a question, Dave. Yeah. Is the casket going to be open?
I'll let you know. I mean, I don't know. I haven't looked into it. I'm just going to go there and really pay my respects for this man. He's a top 5 to me athlete. I loved him growing up. I'll let you know. I don't know, but maybe Twitter and maybe YouTube will show it. I don't know, but I'm going to go there, pay homage to the Hit King, and I wanted to say, it's 14 hours, so it's in honor of the number 14. His daughter's putting it together, and I'm looking forward to Cincinnati. Any tips about Cincinnati, Michael? And appreciate your time.
Well, the best restaurant is called The Precinct. It's a steakhouse that's very well known there, so that's where I'd go. Don, I don't want to be macabre. I don't want to go into the last hour of macabre. He's been dead for a month.
I can't imagine it's going to be open unless they mummified him. I don't really. How do you preserve a
month? It's been a month. Hasn't it been a month?
I'm sure it's going to be closed. I'm sure it's going to be closed.
But even if the body's there, why has he not been buried for a month? Well, what are we doing?
I don't know. Do we know the body's even going to be there?
Well, if there's a casket, you would think there's a body in it, right?
I guess, but if it's all like done. I don't know what I'm sure we can get a mortuary to confirm. Like, do you put them in a refrigerator?
Oh, I'm sure that you can preserve the body. I mean, look, you go to the Vatican. There's popes that have been dead for like centuries.
I mean, once you're embalmed, I guess it definitely slows down the decay process. But I don't know why it had to wait this long. But listen, I get it. I don't know why it doesn't happen here.
What do you mean?
Well, like when Maurice Richard died in Montreal, the Canadiens, that was the wake was at the Bell Center. People came to see it with the casket open. Like, other markets do it. We don't ever do it here. Why? I guess it's up to the family, but why not have a service like that where the fans can come and have their moment? Open up Yankee Stadium and have them file through, or Citi Field or Madison Square Garden or whatever. I mean, if it's organized and the family's on board with it. Has it ever been done? Did they ever do Yankees? Yeah. So, but that's that's 80 years ago
for 3 days. Lines are on the block.
But that's probably the last time that's ever happened in New York. I can't think of it ever happening before or after. But I've heard it happen quite a bit in other markets. I think what they're doing in Cincinnati is kind of cool, right?
It's weird.
Well, the whole process is weird. Can we agree on that? I don't want to get too crazy, but the way that we go about it, it's very morbid. I think
come in a room and look at a dead body.
It's terrible for the family to go through, but whatever. Everybody's got their process. But that already said, since that's the common practice,
there's no common practice that says somebody stays above ground for a month. It just doesn't make sense. It's been dead a long time, man.
It's been. Yeah, it has to be at least a month, right?
Yeah, it's very odd.
Well, we have the technology.
Let's take a brief time out. We'll find out who the point guard is. And if I get it today, I win. That would be my third.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a big, big day for me. Stick around and find out here on Yes and 880 ESPN.
K Show on Yes is presented by Untuck It. Shirts designed to be worn untucked. Shop now at untuckit.com.
Untuck It makes every guy look better. From tall to short, from big to slim. From our iconic button-downs for all shapes and sizes to a whole lot more. Try us today. Untuck It. We just make guys look better. Oh, and we make great styles for her, too. Find the perfect fit at untuckit.com and more than 80 stores worldwide.
Here we go. They're following us.
This is awesome.
Idiot.
The first ever Nissan Rogue Rock Creek.
Now, get 3.39% APR financing for 60 months on the 2025 Nissan Rogue Rock Creek.
Yes Network is now streaming on Fubo. Watch the Nets and more of your local teams. Streaming live on all your devices. Plus, over 350 top channels. Start watching at FuboTV.com.
It's big, it's back, and it's only $6. Get the big box y'all love today. And this holiday season, you can order a Cajun-style turkey at your local Popeyes.
Love that chicken from Popeyes.
Amazon early holiday deals are here. Woo! Woo! With everything you need to kick off the season. Woo! Shop Amazon early holiday deals now. Woo!
Never clean your gutters again with LeafGuard. LeafGuard's seamless design keeps leaves, pests, and sediment out while directing water away from your home, giving you peace of mind that your home and family are protected from water damage with the industry's premier maintenance-free gutter system. Call 844-6LeafGuard right now for a free estimate and save 20% plus $500 off your purchase and installation. LeafGuard. Get it today, protected for life.
AE drinks Sprite? AE drinks Sprite.
You want to hoop like me? Practice. You want a refreshing drink? Obey your thirst.
Baby, oh,
can't you make up your mind? Oh, 'cause you're so far away. Am I just wasting my time? Yeah.
A team grows in Brooklyn. Board by board. Block by block. Play by play. Shot by shot.
We got Nets.
You coming?
Ethan was shot in the head in his best friend's house with an unsecured gun. The father, the gun owner, he stored his 3 guns and bullets in a shoebox. That has to be the most horrific experience that a human could ever have.
What if you went to your secret hiding place and found this? All drug use comes with risk. Before those risks become real, know that you can quit. For help with drug use, call 1-800-662-HELP for free and confidential information and treatment referral, or go to samhsa.gov/know-the-risks.
A lot of the drama away from tomorrow because it's been settled.
Yeah, well, for me, that now I've been mathematically eliminated.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna.
Why even say anything tomorrow?
Well, I still plan on saying something, but to know that it's not going to be for Point God.
Well, it was just between the two of us today because Peter's on.
What makes it worse?
Yeah.
I don't know how much resistance Peter would have put up, but still, my odds had to have increased with him not there.
I mean, we did talk some basketball, so that would have opened up a portal for him.
It would have.
But the baseball part would have shut him down.
I thought, listen, I'm proud of my day, but good for you. You know what? And you won last week.
Did I win last week? I don't think I did.
But did I win?
I think you won.
All right. Well, then, you know what?
It's all good. It's all in the family.
Then the transition of power, Michael, I hand to you.
Yeah, and you do it seamlessly. It's a peaceful transition.
Yeah, very peaceful transition, yes.
1-800-919-3776. Darren in Newark. Darren.
Hey, Michael, Don. How you guys doing today?
Good.
What's up, baby? Oh, wait a minute. The ice pick.
Oh, wait, Darren,
I don't want to forget the ice pick. I'm sorry. So put you on hold. We don't have to go with the whole histrionics of everything. All right.
Ice picks. Ice picks. Ice picks. Ice picks.
Anthony might be a little bit surprised. The Jets are off to a 12-1 start. Unreal. But the Avalanche, they're coming off a nice 6-3 win over Seattle. They're on the road. The Jets' one loss came at home. Avalanche at plus 120 on the money line. I'm going Colorado on the money line in Winnipeg. Plus 120 is my ice pick. I'm sorry.
Look at you. No, he's
Continue,
there.
Darren.
He's there. Darren, a lot of people waited for that. Now you get the floor.
Okay, guys. I just wanted to say first, let me just start out by saying, Michael, I've met you on a couple of occasions, and you've been a very nice guy, very nice to me.
He's a very nice man.
A couple of photos with me. Yes. And I just wanted to say, Mike, it's one thing that annoys me. I can't get with when you start talking about the fans are killing Aaron Judge on social media. Of course they're going to kill him, Michael. He's the captain. He dropped the ball in a pivotal moment in the game, and he really didn't do much. It's not like he hit 7 home runs and had a whole bunch of RBIs, and he made one mistake. He did not. He said it himself. He didn't show up.
Well, but Darren, I'm not. First of all, I'm not the one who brought it up. It was a fan, John from Long Island, and I said the only thing that I say, Darren, let's not forget 58 and 144. If he doesn't do that, they don't get to the World Series. That's all I'm saying. You have the right to rip him for the World Series.
Right. I have no problems. He's been a great regular season player. Nobody's a bigger fan of Aaron Judge than I am. I think he's better than Soto because he can do it all. He can field, he can throw, he can run. He's what they call, I guess, 5-tool.
Yep.
He can do it all. Soto's a great hitter. He is a great hitter. But in the biggest moment, that's when real great Yankees show up. And that's just the way I look at it.
But Darren, we're not in disagreement. I mean, I said that Yankee fans who have been raised to think that unless you win the World Series, the season's a failure. The patriarch of the family, George Steinbrenner, said that all the time. Then Derek Jeter picked up the mantle. And now Aaron Judge himself had picked up the mantle. So I can't blame fans for getting upset that Aaron Judge did not produce in October again. But all I'm saying, don't forget what he does during the regular season. That's important, too.
You know, you bring up something interesting about George. Now, I'm not talking about latter-day George, 4 championships in 5 years, George. I'm talking about Mr. May, Dave Winfield, George. How do you think he
would have destroyed him?
You think he would?
Would have destroyed him.
Especially after giving him the contract.
Absolutely. He would have destroyed. How's not like George?
No, not at all. Now, I'm not saying that that'd be fair if George did that. But that's kind of the edict that the fans have taken.
I've thought about this a lot, Don. George on Twitter would have been unbelievable. Because his Twitter was telling the writers who covered the team, leaking stuff, putting it on the back page. He would have instant access. So if he's watching Judge drop that fly ball in the 5th inning, game 5, he's tweeting out right away.
Yeah. That would have, and that would not have been good. Right?
No.
I don't think that would have been good.
I think that he would have used Twitter the way Donald Trump used Twitter. Donald Trump realized right away the reach that Twitter had and took advantage of it. And Donald Trump, I've been told from people that were there, would go to Yankee games, sit in George's box, and just watch everything that George did. The way he interacted with the media, the way he interacted with people. George, I don't think, was political like that, so I don't think George would ever run for president. But a lot of the playbook of Trump might have come a little bit from George.
Well, because the George we're talking about came before sports radio. So the only outlet he had was talking to the writers after the game.
Right.
And then you'd have to wait until the paper came out the next day. So think about the immediacy of social media that, instead of waiting the next day to kill Judge for dropping the ball, if the top of the 6th inning, there'd already be something out of it. So maybe he'd wait till after the game. But even then, it's still not waiting the next day's paper.
He was kind of still in his wheelhouse when Mike and the Mad Dog became big. And when Flip was putting together the Yes Network, he's looking for programming and stuff like that. And, he would report back to George Steinbrenner and say, I've got a hole here. I got to fill this slot. And you know what George said? George is the one who came up with it. Flip even says it. How about those 2 guys on the radio? He goes, what do you mean, those 2 guys? He goes, why don't you put the 2 guys on the radio? Put them on TV. He's the first guy to think of a simulcast. That came from George. He knew how to deal with media. So I'm sure he would have learned how to deal with Twitter.
Yeah.
And it would have been a tool for him.
And where would the guardrail be? Who's going to tell him no?
No one. Like no one told Donald Trump no.
Yeah.
There would have been no. 1-800-919-3776. Mike in Wading River. Mike.
Hey, Mike. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Well, first of all, I just want to say, previously to you guys moving to the AM dial, I only could watch your show on the Yes Network, which, ironically, you were just talking about with Mike and Chris. But now I get 880. I'm on the eastern end of Long Island, and now you're crystal clear, so I get to enjoy you guys all the time. Thank you. my next question was, I think if Hartenstein was able to, salary cap aside, was able to retain for this coming season, I think we would have probably came back, maybe Mikal Bridges, but we probably would have came back with the same team and not did the Karl Anthony Towns. So I think, with Kendrick Perkins talking earlier about, the chemistry and how we're going, I think, we're really overlooking the biggest loss was really not re-signing Hartenstein.
I'll tell you what, though, Mike, if they tried to sign Hartenstein, as you know, they still would have made the deal for Towns. They still would have. Because Hartenstein was originally signed to come off the bench. So if you have Karl Anthony Towns, and then you could team him up at times with Hartenstein coming off the bench, and also give him a blow with Hartenstein coming off the bench, I don't think that would have precluded them from getting Karl Anthony Towns, because the two guys that you would have given up are Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo. Hartenstein wouldn't have been involved. He wouldn't have been. And you in that deal, maybe you would have been able to trade Mitchell Robinson and hold back either DiVincenzo or Julius Randle. I still think they would have made the deal for Cat.
Oh yeah, I think so.
Because they were looking for that big stud, the big great player. Let's go to Anthony in Long Island.
Hey, Mike Don, how's it going?
Good, you?
Not too bad, not too bad. You guys are saying that the Knicks are lacking depth, size, and rebound. But there's two guys available, Pat Bev and Dwight Howard, that would love to play in the NBA game. You can pick them up cheap. Why not go grab them real quick, see what they got left?
Well, Howard hasn't played in the NBA for a long time, Anthony, right?
Yeah, he's in China playing. He's still playing in China.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be the guy they want. I don't know how Pat Bev fits. It's not exactly what they're lacking. He's kind of a grizzled vet and a smart player, but the last thing we saw of him was throwing a ball at a fan.
He hasn't played since 22.
Yeah. Howard or Bev?
Bev, right?
He's in Israel.
Howard, I'm sorry.
Right. So Beverly's in Israel, you said?
Yeah, I think he's playing there.
Yeah, I don't think those guys would help. Let's go to Jeff in Auburn. Jeff.
Oh, hi, Mike.
Hello, Jeff.
Hi, Dan.
What's up?
How are you?
Good.
My main point is with this whole Soto deal is put trust in Cashman. The guy put together a team, a good product on the field to get us to the World Series, and he did. And Boone made it work. The guy's got a knack. Cashman has a knack for finding good relief pitchers.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not worried about Soto. I kind of agree with John from Long Island. Let him go. It's fine. But let me ask you this, though.
I'll let you finish your point. It's not fine. It's doable where they make it work. I mean, they want to bring him back. It's not just fine to lose one of the greatest hitters you'll ever see. It's not fine.
Yeah.
It's acceptable. They can make it work. Right.
Right.
What was your other point, Jeff?
My question is, do you think we'd have a shot at getting Pete Alonso?
I wouldn't want him. I don't know if you heard the beginning of the show, but he didn't fit. Well, a shot. Yeah, you have a shot. You want to pay him more money than anybody else? Why would you want a 30-year-old right-handed hitter who's not a good first baseman? We've already detailed about the fact that the Yankee defense was below par last year. So you're going to add, at best, an average first baseman. Why? Why would you want another right-handed bat to squeeze between Judge and Stanton? How does that make sense? Then you have an unbalanced lineup again. Your lineup was even unbalanced this year with Soto. It was so unbalanced, you had a rookie catcher batting cleanup for most of the second half of the year. Then the postseason, you had Jazz Chisholm Jr. You know where Jazz Chisholm Jr. should be batting? 7th or 8th. Then you've got a great lineup.
Right, not cleanup.
But, I mean, Pete Alonso, what is the obsession with Pete Alonso?
Because he's a guy played in New York. You're going to look for a first baseman. He's a first baseman. I think that's it. And as far as there being chatter about it, we talked about it earlier. Boris is in the ear of some of the writers saying, hey, the Yankees are interested to try to drive up the price of his client. It makes no sense, guys. It doesn't.
And you know what? We have no intel on it. Maybe that's what they do.
If they do, like you said, I'll be just as shocked as Mike.
You're asking me my opinion? I'm not going after Pete Alonso. That's not my plan B. That's probably like my plan T. So there's a lot of letters before T, before I'd have to get to Alonso. I mean, it's not plan B. That's not the most optimum thing they could do. It makes no sense to want it.
I would guess the only way, Michael, is Is there a world in which they just get shut out of all the other free agents? Alonso's still sitting there in March. They can get him on the cheap at like, I don't know, $20 million a year for 3 years or something because he wants to play. And they just say, okay, we'll take a shot rather than having Ben Rice as our opening day first baseman.
They'd have to be really shut out.
Yeah. And the
price would have to come down.
And the scenario I painted is unlikely, but that's probably the only way I could see it happening.
Let's go to Will in Roxbury. Will.
Hey, Michael. I heard you saying before that the Yankees' two plans are either Soto or get 3 other good players. And in either situation, I don't think they're good enough. Is there any chance they add Soto and another bat?
Yeah, absolutely there is. Absolutely. I don't think it's going to be a big bat like a Bregman. I don't know if Santander would fall under that. But
you don't think I think they need a big bat now.
Well, I mean, you're going to lose Rizzo, and you're going to lose Verdugo. Yeah. But, I mean, would you have considered them big bats the way they performed this year? And the Yankees still got to the World Series, so I don't know if you need a massive bat.
It just felt like they were miles apart from the Dodgers.
No, but I think Don might lean more toward you, Will. They weren't miles apart. They lost in 5 games. They should have won game 1. They should have won game 5. So that's not miles apart. Can I sit here and go, the Dodgers might have been better? Yeah. But miles apart, they were blink away from going to L.A. up 5-2.
First of all, you should be
3-2.
You shouldn't be building your team to be better than the Dodgers. They're not even in the league you're in. You got to get through the 162 games, and maybe the Dodgers aren't there by the time you get to the World Series. But I will say this, Michael, the Dodgers might be better next year because they'll have their starting rotation. So will they be better with Glass now healthy? Will they be better when Shohei Ohtani's able to pitch? Maybe. But what I'd be concerned about, Michael, is, all right, what are you going to do? What if the Blue Jays sign him? Right. What if the Red Sox sign him? Now Soto left you, and now he's in your division playing for somebody else. Like, that would concern me. If he goes sign with the Mets, you don't worry about it till the World Series. Signs with the Dodgers, you don't have to worry about it till the World Series. But what are you going to do to counter one of your division rivals landing him?
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because I don't think even with Soto, either one of those teams is as good as the Yankees.
Well, not right now, but what else? We'll see.
There's one team that would bother me if he signed with them, the Mets. Because right across town, I'm going to watch this guy for the next 15 years.
For that
if he goes to the Dodgers, so what?
But from a competitive standpoint, they really should be so what for the Mets, too, as far as, like, competition.
Yeah, but
you
I
don't
think
have to worry about it till the World Series.
Somewhere along the lines, Don, like probably in the next collective bargaining agreement, which ends in like 3 years, I think the Mets and the Yankees are going to be in the same division. They're going to realign everything.
Too. But during the length of that contract, you may be right.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. I think we're leaning toward. Well, why are we keeping other than the tradition?
It's just a tradition.
There's no reason for it anymore.
It doesn't make sense not to have the Yankees, the Mets, the Phillies, the Nationals. I mean, look at the travel.
Because I'm going to tell you, you may disagree with this because you're so close to it, Michael, is baseball's going to have an issue with all of these wild card teams sneaking in and making runs to the World Series. You may get to a point where you might need to create interest in the regular season. You know, with only where you can mail in the first month of the year like the Mets did and still end up being one of the best teams in baseball at the end. So you're not going to want to do what the NBA did and have an in-season tournament. But would there ever be a day like, hey, I want to spice up our regular season? And what better way to do that if the Yankees and the Mets are in the same division and you can get the Dodgers and the Angels in the same division, White Sox Cup? I could see that day coming pretty soon.
It could. I think they will maneuver a lot of things. I think there'll be expansion for 2 teams, and it's going to be 2 leagues, different leagues than we know, of 16 teams, and 4 divisions of 4 teams.
Right.
And there'll be a wild card out of each division.
Now, the question is, do you do it football where you separated the markets like they do in the NFL with the Jets and Giants being in different conferences, or do you do what the NHL and the NBA did and geographically put all of the divisions together? You could do that.
What I would do, too, and I know that it's popular, you wonder why, like, viewership in the World Series has gone down, all this World Series was very well viewed. And why the All-Star games mean nothing, I would have 2 separate leagues, and I would not have interleague play that much. I just wouldn't, if at all. I'm told that the collective bargaining agreement is up next December. No, December of 26. So right. 2 more years.
Well, I think you're going to see that happen. And we could probably have some fun, Michael, of what realignment would look like.
Yeah.
Now, it could be tough if you're going to do your idea of 4 divisions because only 4 teams in each division. Like, you're gonna mess stuff up. I mean, right? Because how are you going to be able to keep both the Mets and Yankees happy with their rivals? If you only have 4 teams in a division, Yankees, Red Sox, Mets, Phillies, well, what about, Mets, Braves? What about Yankees, Blue Jays? Like, or Yankees, Orioles? Like, how would you do that?
Well, I mean, Orioles might be in that division too. You've got to get over that. You just have to. You have to make new rivals.
I will tell you this, as a 56-year-old Met fan, I still hate the Cardinals from back in the day more than I ever hate the Braves, the Phillies, the Marlins, any of those teams, because that was a huge rivalry. Mets and the Cardinals haven't been in the same division for what, like 25 years? But back in the day, Michael, the Mets, Cubs, Mets, Cardinals, those were huge rivalries. And now they're not even in the same division anymore.
Let's go to Ray in Franklin Square. Ray.
Yeah, how you doing, Mike?
Good. What's up?
Don. Yeah, what is your opinion of trading for Vlad?
Well, he has said, Ray, that he doesn't want to play for the Yankees.
That was a while ago, though, no?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I think it was something that happened with his dad. As best I could tell, his dad had an agreement. His dad had an agreement. I think he changed his mind because his agent probably said, don't eliminate the Yankees from when you become a free agent. But his dad had an agreement with Brian Cashman to sign a free agent contract. And George Steinbrenner stepped in and signed Gary Sheffield instead.
And that was
so the Yankees had to, Brian Cashman couldn't sign Vlad, and probably Vlad Guerrero Jr. still holds a grudge. But does he really fit? He's not a great first baseman. Last year he had a good year. The year before that he didn't have that great of a year. He's a superior talent, but it seems like the Blue Jays don't want to trade him. They're going to keep Bichette and Vlad Guerrero and make one more run. They're free agents at the end of next year. So if you get Vlad Guerrero, you're going to be in a position you got to give him a huge contract at the end of 2025.
Right. And that's not happening if they sign Juan Soto.
Right.
I don't think they're going to get him. But they did call, right? Was it the Blue Jays, Red Sox, Giants, Dodgers, Mets, Yankees,
and the Blue Jays
and the Rays.
The Blue Jays made a huge run at Ohtani. They thought they had him.
Well, the Blue Jays are kind of like the American League version of the Giants in the National League.
Right.
Like they're just trying to get somebody to be attracted to come to them. They seem like they have the money. They just can't seem to land these guys.
Well, I mean, the guy who owns the Blue Jays, the family who owns the Blue Jays, owns all of cable in Canada. Rogers.
Which is everything.
Everything.
I mean, almost every arena is named Rogers Arena. Rogers. It's crazy.
Yeah, they are the national team. They own all of Canada.
I have said that for a long. You can be like the Sirius XM. I'll listen to hockey games. Like listen to an Edmonton Oiler game, and they're advertising like Blue Jays.
Right.
Like they are the national team.
All right, you've got Rangers pregame coming up, right?
Rangers Sabres.
And then Don will go to the Garden after that, after the pregame show, and then he's going to be signing autographs and taking pictures.
Let me know. Tweet out your section. I'll be there.
Don's that type of guy. He's not lying. He's not lying. This is how he is. Peter would lie. Don is not going to lie. Big Friday show tomorrow with our picks. Joe Fortenbaugh, the whole deal. Billy Joel, take it home.
That's a wrap on the show for today. Coming up next, Hope Week Remembered, followed by live Man City Soccer for all of us here on The Michael K. Show. This is Chris Sharon saying have a great night. We'll see you again tomorrow at 3 o'clock.
It's big, it's back, and it's only $6. Get the big box y'all love today. And this holiday season, you can order a Cajun-style turkey at your local Popeyes.
Love that chicken from Popeyes.
If you're an asbestos victim, pay close attention. Billions of dollars are being paid out to people like you. We should know. We're